exactly what's required to preserve issues such as that, but I will treat as a standing objection the introduction of evidence as to which you filed a motion to suppress, and that suppression motion was denied. So it's contents of cell phone. What was the other thing?
Search of the house.
Search of the house. So the items that were seized pursuant to the search warrant to search the house, and a search of one or more cell phones?
I think it was just one phone. I think it was just two.
All right, so one cell phone. When the government introduces that evidence, I won't require you to come to sidebar. You're telling me right now you object to the introduction to preserve your suppression motion for appellate review, and I will accept that.
Thank you.
Mr. Camilio, anything you need to talk about?
I showed the bottle that was discussed yesterday to Mr. Scully this morning. It's my understanding that there's no issue with the bottle. It's if the court wants to mark it for IP.
Yes, why don't we do that?
Marked B as we marked the instructions sheet procedures.
And last, okay, anything else, Mr. Camilio, from you?
No, it's not.
All right, Mr. Narconis.
I did file a motion to limit this.
I see that. It's basically a motion to eliminate to enforce the hearsay rules.
What the court.
Yes, and I understand. I'm not exactly sure what statements that the Commonwealth will seek to elicit from Leroy Fowler III. However, you point out that in his interview, he appears to be relating a lot of statements made by other people that appear to be inadmissible hearsay. At the moment, I'm going to trust the Commonwealth to understand the rules of evidence. If they start to ask a question about what did a doctor tell you, you'll object, and I'll deal with the objection. I expect I would sustain.
I just wanted to move the court.
I appreciate that. So I don't think I need to make a ruling on this. I will simply enforce the rules of evidence.
Thank you.
I think with that, we're ready to have our jurors Friday. Are they ready to come in?
They are lining up right now.
Okay, then I'll stay in place.
Yeah, we're good to go.
Yeah, oh, yes, I have allowed the motion to sequester with one exception. That is the witness at Tammy Carbone. Pursuant to our discussion yesterday, she will be permitted to be in the courtroom before she testifies. The sequestration rules will still apply to her other than that aspect of it. She's not in the courtroom now, is she?
She's not, Judge. I asked her to remain outside of the court for opening statements.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, I just think that.
All right, so she won't be in for opening statements, and then she'll come in.
And I did tell her that she is not allowed to discuss her testimony with any of the other witnesses.
They have noticed that this is happening in court. Every trial is a public proceeding. Anybody can come in, and there are certain rules about the way the media covers any particular trial. We do allow cameras in the courtroom, and the Commonwealth attorney for each side will present a closing argument to you. A closing argument is an opportunity for each of the attorneys to sum up for you the evidence that you've heard, suggest what inferences and conclusions you should draw from it, and ultimately what verdict you should come to. The lawyer's opening statements and their closing arguments are important parts of trial, and they may help you make sense of the evidence, but you must bear in mind that
Investigating the murder of Leroy Fowler. Leroy
the Commonwealth goes first at the opening statements phase of the proceedings. So the first hearing is the committee on behalf of the Commonwealth, followed by defense counsel. In this case, we'll hear from Mr. Liam Scully in the opening statements. At the closing arguments phase of the proceedings, we reverse the order. At that point, defense counsel will go first, followed by the Commonwealth, because again, the Commonwealth bears the burden of proof, so we give the prosecutors the last word at the closing stage argument stage of the proceedings. So if everyone is ready, please take a seat. We'll first hear from the Assistant Attorney General.
Thank you. I hate being alone. I hate you for all the lies. You don't love me. This is not love. Those were the words that Judy Church wrote in her notebooks that the police found while investigating the murder of Leroy Fowler. Leroy Fowler was Miss Church's boyfriend. They had been in a relationship for about 10 years. And some parts of the relationship were pretty good. They lived together at her house in Salisbury. They had purchased a home in Florida. They had some dogs that the defendant and the victim both really loved. Is it a notebook?
Yeah.
Oh, you've got the notebooks now. I usually have them distributed after the openings, but that's fine. If you choose to take, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Committee. I didn't know they were gonna have notebooks. If you choose to take notes, just bear in mind that your notes don't reflect evidence. Mr. Committee, please continue.
As I said, some parts of that relationship looked pretty good. That relationship was not a good relationship. It was a toxic, horrible, horrible relationship. The primary reason why that relationship was so bad was that Mr. Fowler had another girlfriend. Everybody knew that he had 2 girlfriends. Everybody accepted it, but I think it's fair to say neither of those 2 women were happy about it. Miss Church was not happy about it at all. You'll get the chance to read many of the entries that she put in her notebook describing the way she thought about this relationship. And this one that I just read to you, I hate being alone, I hate you for all the lies, is just a representation of these many, many diary entries and notebook entries that she put in both her written notebooks and in the note section of her iPhone. She cataloged the things that he did to her that made her feel unvalued, unloved, unwanted. And it's easy to understand, in part, where Ms. Church was coming from. Nobody wants to feel like they are not a primary person in their loved one's life. Nobody wants to know that when things get bad in your relationship, your partner leaves and goes to his other girlfriend. But that's what was going on, and that's what has been going on for years in this particular relationship. And that's what brought us here today. That's what caused the death of Mr. Fowler. On November 11th, 2022, was actually Mr. Fowler's birthday. And that morning, the defendant, Ms. Church, called the police because Mr. Fowler was sick. He was in bad shape. He was stumbling around the apartment. He couldn't stand up. He couldn't get his feet. He really couldn't talk or form any words. Every time he tried to pull himself up and get off the ground, he would fall back down. So after this went on for a couple of hours, Ms. Church called. Police called the ambulance, and they came, and they see the same things. They see the same things that are wrong with Mr. Church. Excuse me, Ms. Fowler. She calls 911, and she says, my boyfriend must have ingested something. The first sign that you're going to hear is something is just a little bit off about this whole thing. How does she know that he ingested something? He had all sorts of health problems, pacemaker. He was complaining about illnesses leading up to this. But she immediately tells the police, immediately tells the EMTs that he must have ingested something. She's mostly not able to talk while they're there. They can't get him to stand up. They're holding him up to keep him from falling to the floor. Since he's sitting on the floor, they have to hold him up. At some point, he asks about his dog. And at some point, he may have said something about some Percocets that he took. Now, he was no saint. He already said that he had another girlfriend. He used cocaine from time to time. But there's not going to be any evidence at all that Mr. Fowler wanted to harm himself, that he was in any way thinking of ending his life, that he had any thoughts of suicide. In fact, in the months leading up to his death, he was concerned about his health. He was trying to figure out what was wrong with him. He thought maybe he had some sort of prostate cancer. So the EMTs are there. They're looking at him. They don't know what's wrong with him. He can't talk to them. He can't tell them what's going on. He can't stand up. He's got no control over his limbs. He's combative. And they just don't know. They don't know what's wrong with him. So off he goes to Anna Jake Hospital. They start running tests. They start taking blood. And obviously, at the beginning, they don't know what's wrong with him either. As it goes on, they start to think, he's been poisoned with antifreeze. He has antifreeze in his system. And that's the colloquial way that people talk about ethylene glycol poisoning. Ethylene glycol is a chemical that goes into antifreeze, and it is poisonous to people. It's metabolites when your body breaks it down. It causes your liver to stop, your kidneys to stop working, and then eventually it shut down your brain and kill you. You'll hear that those symptoms that I talked about at the beginning, falling down, being unable to talk, the stomach pains, the groaning, you'll hear that those are all the first symptoms of ethylene glycol, antifreeze poisoning. Now, after he goes to Anna Jake's, they send him off to Mount Auburn in Cambridge, another hospital where they can provide a higher level, hopefully, of care. And you're going to hear from the doctor, one of the doctors who treated him at Mount Auburn, that all of the signs that she could see, all the signs that you're going to hear about, the medical terms, it's called an anion gap, an osmolar gap, some crystals that are forming in his urine. These are all signs of antifreeze poisoning, of ethylene glycol poisoning. On the 13th, November 13th, so this happened on the 11th, the 911 call, goes to the hospital. On the 13th, Mr. Fowler dies. His brain just stops working as a result of these poisons that are coursing through his body. The police start their investigation. And you'll see that very quickly they focused on this church as their suspect. They started talking to her. They realized that she had told different people different stories about what was going on with Mr. Church, Mr. Fowler, in the 24 hours leading up to his death. They had been planning on going to Florida, down that house again. Mr. Fowler was fine on that Thursday, the day before, November 10th. Didn't show any signs of ethylene glycol poisoning. And they start talking to family, they start talking to friends, they start looking at her notebooks, they get into her phone. And they find out that, in fact, Ms. Church has threatened in the past to poison Mr. Fowler. In fact, the day that he goes to the hospital, the day that he goes to Mount Auburn, Ms. Church told Mr. Fowler's sister, "Oh yeah, that's one of our jokes. I joke about poisoning him. I joke about poisoning his milkshakes." And that's important because the way that you poison somebody with antifreeze, with ethylene glycol, you put it in something sweet. Antifreeze is a sweet-tasting substance. It can be hidden in sweet drinks. They keep looking. They find more. They find these stories, these diary entries, these notebook entries, where she talks about how bad their relationship is. She talks about how much she hates the other woman, a woman named Barbara Randall. And she refers to her repeatedly, both in her conversations with the police and in her notes, in her notebooks, as a cunt. Over, and I apologize for that word. It's so ugly, but it just shows you exactly what she was thinking about Ms. Randall, about the nature of their relationship. And you're going to have to read these and you're going to hear them. Some of them are vile. They really are, the way she talks about Ms. Randall. The police keep investigating, right? They go to her house on November 14th, the day after Mr. Fowler died, and they search that house. And among the items that they find is a Powerade bottle. Now, this is not the Powerade bottle that they found. This is just a representative of it, so I can show it to you. But Mr. Fowler loved his Powerade. He loved his sweet drinks. He loved his milkshakes. He loved his Diet Pepsi. He really had a horrible diet that appears to have consisted almost entirely of sugar. But they found a number of Powerade bottles. But one that they found, it just didn't look right. There was a little tiny bit at the bottom, right? A little bit of tiny liquid left. It just wasn't quite the right color. So they take it, and it goes to the Massachusetts State Police Crime Lab for some further testing. And they test it. They test it for fingerprints. They don't find any fingerprints. They test it for DNA. And what they find on the outside of the bottle is that they find Mr. Fowler's DNA, which you would expect if he drank from it. They found Miss Church's DNA on the outside of the bottle, which you might expect because it's her house, and maybe she bought it, maybe she put it in the fridge, maybe she threw it in the trash. But they also tested the mouth of the bottle. And on the mouth of the bottle, where you could only get your DNA by touching the mouth and taking off that cap, they find Mr. Fowler's DNA. They also find Miss Church's DNA on the mouth of the bottle. And why am I talking about a Powerade bottle? Because they then tested the liquid. They tested the liquid that was found inside, that little bit that was left over, and it had antifreeze in it. It had ethylene glycol. So that's going to be the murder weapon. That's the gun. That's the knife. That's the method used to kill Mr. Fowler. All the evidence that you're going to hear in this case about how Mr. Fowler died is going to be what I'm going to call circumstantial evidence. No one is going to stand up and say, I saw Miss Church put that ethylene glycol, I saw her put that antifreeze in the Powerade. That's not going to happen. No one's going to see, it's not a shooting or a stabbing where somebody can see what happens. It's all circumstantial evidence. It's all evidence that you're going to have to interpret and see what it means. And there's benefits to that, right? Sometimes it's great if you have somebody come in and say, yeah, I saw somebody shoot somebody, but you have to decide whether that witness is believable, right? But when it's circumstantial evidence, when it's the science, when it's the medical examiner coming in and saying, Mr. Fowler had ethylene glycol in his blood, when it's the chemist coming in and saying, Miss Church's DNA was on the mouth of the bottle, those aren't things that you need to discern, that's the evidence, right? That's what you need to interpret, not what you need to decide is true or false. Mr. Fowler had ethylene glycol in his blood when he died. He had ethylene glycol in his blood that morning when the 911 call was made. Miss Church was the only person who had access to him during the time frame that ethylene glycol would take effect on the body, about an hour to 12 hours after consumption. She was the only one who said, I'm poisoning him, and there was milkshakes, there was sweet drinks. She told another friend of the family at a bar that summer before his death, if he ever cheats on me, I'll poison him. The final thing that I want to talk to you about, and I left it for last because I sort of referenced it, but I told you that we know how Mr. Fowler was acting before that 911 call was made, that he was stumbling around the apartment, that he couldn't get his feet, he couldn't talk, he looks like he's in a lot of pain. Now that's important, one, because of the extreme atrocity and cruelty theory that the judge has talked to you about already. But it's most important because we know that evidence because as Mr. Fowler lay on the floor, moaning, trying to get up, whacking his head, bleeding in Miss Church's bedroom, she sat on the bed and she videotaped it with her iPhone. She videotaped him for a half an hour as he lay on the floor of her bedroom, dying from antifreeze poisoning. She doesn't get up. She doesn't do anything to help him. She doesn't do waits until he manages to choke out at the end, call 911, call an ambulance. She actually says that and he goes, yes, yes. It's the only words he gets out on that entire 30 minutes of video. She shows him his unopened birthday, she shows the camera his unopened birthday presents, complains that he's tearing the room apart, and she's telling him, tell me what you took. Knowing full well that antifreeze that she gave him was coursing through his body, killing him as he lay there. You're going to hear from a number of witnesses during the course of this case. Some of them civilians who were friends with these two, some of them family, and some of them the scientists and police officers who investigated this case. At the end, I'm going to remind you about all the things that we talked about here in the course of the openings. And I'm going to ask you to find this first guilty of murder in the first degree. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Camilio. Now you will hear from Mr. Scully on behalf of the defendant, Judy Church.
Thank you, Your Honor. Morning. It's nice to see you all together here after 2 long days of meeting you all individually. All of us, including the defense team in this church, owe you a great deal of gratitude. So thank you for agreeing to be the jurors on her trial. This trial has been a long time coming. This is her date in court. You are her jurors. And as the clerk, when she swore you in, eloquently said, you are her country. Now, you've all set aside your lives and all the important things that you're doing to come here every day on our schedule, to sit patiently, to listen, to keep an open mind, to evaluate evidence, to deliberate when the time comes, and to reach a verdict. And no matter what that verdict is, we all owe you the same debt of gratitude. But I suggest the verdict will be not guilty. Now, the evidence that's going to come in over the next 2.5 weeks is a bit like a jigsaw puzzle. It's not all on a timeline. Witnesses come in and testify, documents get introduced, photographs get introduced, videos get played, audios get heard. And each piece of evidence represents were similar to a piece of the puzzle that the prosecution is trying to put together. And you, at the end of the day, are going to decide, do the pieces fit the way they say or not? Are there pieces they try to jam in that don't fit? And are there pieces that do fit but are the wrong color or otherwise don't make sense? And that's why it's essential to keep an open mind throughout the whole process until you get a good look at the entire puzzle that is this case. Now, Judy Church, way over here. You've all had barely a chance to look at her. She comes before you now, 67 years old. She was then, in 2022, 64 years old. You will learn that she's originally from Bedford, Massachusetts, that she's one of 4 sisters, that her father, Donald, was a Navy man and a firefighter, that her mother, Jean, was a mom and a bookkeeper at Blue Ribbon Dairy. You will learn that Judy went to high school and graduated, worked as a waitress, and put herself through college. And that she eventually went to, got a degree, a bachelor's degree in education from Framingham State College. In 1988, she got a job as a school teacher at the Howe Manning Elementary School. In 1988, as a 3rd grade teacher. She taught in the 3rd grade for 1 year, and then she taught in the 4th grade for 30 years in a row. Same classroom, same school. And then she retired. Along the way, she got married. Her first husband, her only husband, Rusty. They had a son, Douglas. And in 2002, they moved to Salisbury, where this drama that is this trial starts to unfold, but not back then. They buy a house, and they move to Salisbury so Douglas could attend the Votech School. And they live together as a family, and they grow up, and they continue on. In 2012, Judy is 54 years old. Leroy Fowler comes onto the scene. He's 45 years old. He's a loose friend of the family. Rusty likes to ride motorcycles. Leroy likes to ride motorcycles. Judy likes to ride on the back of motorcycles. And they get to know each other through that circumstance. Leroy is in a relationship at that time with a woman named Julie Hawkins, mother of Michael Hawkins, who's a witness in this case. And Julie Hawkins is also described as like a second mother to Leroy Jr. So Leroy has this family, Julie Hawkins, Leroy his son, and Michael Hawkins, his stepson. But he leaves that family, and he looks for a place to live, Leroy. And he becomes a tenant at the home of Judy Church and Rusty. And this is where the relationship between Judy Church and Leroy Fowler starts to happen, comes to fruition. They start out as friends, they're in the same place. He's a lot younger, as you've heard. And he rides a motorcycle, and at that time he's a construction worker, and he's a vibrant guy, and he represents some youth to Judy. They start hanging around, too much, maybe, and then they fall in love, and a romance blossoms. Judy's still living in the house with her husband, and Leroy is in the house with them in a different unit. Husband Rusty finds out, and Judy and Leroy leave the house. Judy leaves her marriage. She's in love with Leroy Fowler, and she's going to give up her old life in search of something a little younger, a little newer, a little more exciting, something that's enticing. Now, this starts what I would suggest is a honeymoon phase between them. And that lasts for a while. What do? They buy a house. Actually, Judy buys a house. 108 Central Ave in Salisbury. And they move in together. And it's a fixer-upper. It's where this all happens. Judy and Leroy eventually move into the top floor. Douglas, Judy's son, moves into the bottom floor. And there's a cottage with some tenants in the back. These tenants don't really have any factual connection to this case. But there they are. And Judy and Leroy build a life together, a new life, and it's exciting, and they have fun. They go on motorcycle rides. They buy a dog together named Salt, who joins the other dog already owned by Leroy. They work on this fixer-upper all the time, and it's its own entity within their lives. And things are good. And it takes a while to get that all done. It takes about 3 years. And then someone comes on the scene that dramatically changes that. And the honeymoon period comes to an end. Leroy Fowler meets a woman named Barbara Randall. Barbara Randall is younger than Judy by almost 5 years. And he begins an affair with Barbara Randall. He starts to see her on the side. Judy finds out about it, and she is heartbroken, and she is angry at Barbara and at Leroy. And she wants Leroy to stop. But he doesn't. He refuses to stop. And so what emerges, and this is now in 2017, 2018, okay? Years earlier, in 2022, where Leroy Fowler dies. What emerges in 2018 is a love triangle that Leroy Fowler has stuck these two women in, and neither one of them like it, and neither one of them like each other. Judy refers to Barbara as the C word. Barbara refers to Judy as grandma. Constantly, whenever she's talking and texting with Leroy, why don't you go home with grandma? You don't want to be with me. Leroy would. And so he creates this dynamic that goes on for years with these two women. Neither one of them want it. But he imposes it on them. And over time, they accept it. And those journal entries and that anger in the phone and in the journals, many of those were written in that era. When Judy was really mad, and she would pick up the pen or get on her phone, and to channel her anger, she would put it all into those places. Get it out of her system. I hate you, I'm mad at you, whatever it said. That's a good place to do it. But then every time Leroy came home, she took him back. Now, over time, her plan became, I'm going to be the last woman standing. I taught in the same classroom for 30 years. I'm not leaving this guy who I love. I'm not giving up on him, even though it hurts, even though I don't like it. And so she decides, I'm sticking this through. And this goes on for years. And in fact, Leroy always comes back, and he lives with Judy. That's who he lives with. And over time, that bizarre love triangle kind of normalizes. It's not good. Leroy might like it, but Judy and Barbara don't like it. But it gets accepted. Until 2022. 2022 is the exact opposite of what the prosecution has tried to lay out for you and is the backbone of their case. 2022 is really the year for Judy because Leroy is getting tired of Barbara and he's getting ready to leave her. And he's going to stay with Judy. And we know this because in 2021 in December, they get in Judy's Jeep and they drive together to Florida. They're both getting older now. Leroy's health isn't doing so good. You heard references to pacemakers. He's got other issues coming on the scene. He's not doing great. He's out of work now. He's on SSDI. Got some food stamps. So he's not the young guy he was, the swashbuckler on the motorcycle when he first met Judy. But he's her guy. So they drive to Florida and they shop for a home. See if they can find a house to live. They're going to move and get a new start on life and leave Salisbury and leave drugs and leave alcohol and leave other things and leave Barbara behind and give it a new go. Build a new house like the first house they built. See if they get the little magic of a honeymoon period back. And Judy buys them a house. She buys them a house, which is a trailer house. She pays cash out of her savings, $111,000. And she puts it in his name. That's the guy she hates and wants to kill. She puts that house in his name and they buy it. And they live in that house in Florida in 2022, January, February, and March. right? And they live there, and they make a plan to come back to this Florida house that they called their Forever house. And Judy also bought Leroy a truck, a black Dodge Ram truck, new to him, used for $13,000, and put it in his name so that he could have that to help them move back and forth. The house was in both their names. Both their names, right? It's their dream. Now, they get back to Salisbury, and of course the plan is to get organized and get back down to Florida. You arrive here, New England, in the spring, it leads to the summer, and they're still sort of dallying with this idea. There's this plan to go, but the plan doesn't get quite put in motion. But it's still a plan. So throughout the spring, into the summer, it's still a plan between Judy and Leroy to go. And then the plan becomes to go that weekend that Leroy dies. So on November 5th, 2022, Leroy sends a text message to Barbara. He breaks up with her, says it's over. I'm packed, the trailer is packed, and I'm moving to Florida with Judy. That's November 5th, right? Judy has won, if it's a competition, right? Judy has her man at long last. She has the home they're going to go to, and they're going within days. It's just a matter of the final packing arrangements. Winter is coming, it's getting colder, and they're going to Florida to live. So how could her motive be to kill him then? They're stringing this motive from all kinds of stuff, little jokes taken out of context that are off color, old entries from journals, stray text messages, trying to cobble them together. But they don't fit. They don't fit. These two are going to Florida that weekend. So what happened on the early morning that Leroy died is he has a room, sort of the man room, on one end of the house. Judy's got the bedroom that's hers and his on the other end of the house, and the living space is in between. At some point in the early morning, Leroy, it's his birthday, comes down the hall to visit with Judy. They've been texting each other all night, even though they're not far away. And there's no animosity between them in those text messages. They're about sex. And he comes down the hall, and in the bedroom, he's not doing well, right? He starts to fall out of bed. He falls down. He's becoming less and less coherent. He's not looking good, and she's asking, what did you take, Leroy? What did you take? By this time, he's a cocaine addict, heavy user. He's also a Percocet abuser. And maybe other things. But she doesn't know, so she said, what did you do, Leroy? What did you take? And she's filming him for the purpose of educating him, for this is what you're doing to yourself, whatever it is. And on the film, she asked, can I call 911? Can I call 911? And eventually he says yes. And she does. She's the one who calls 911 and says, my boyfriend ingested something, and she gives specific directions as to how to get into the house. Now, the EMTs arrive, and they observe Leroy and try to find out what happened. Here's something that Leroy doesn't say. He doesn't say she did something to me, or he doesn't say I've been poisoned. He says, I took 10 Percocets. It doesn't seem from the labs that get them later like he did take 10 Percocets. At least they didn't seem to appear in his system. But the point isn't whether he took them or not. The point is, that's his time to say, I think she did something to me. But of course he didn't do that, because she didn't do anything to him. And he knew it. Now what happens is, there's the, what emerges is what I'll loosely term a conspiracy theory. The police talked to Michael Hawkins, son of Julie Hawkins. They talked to Leroy Fowler's son, Leroy, Julie Hawkins' second son. They talked to Tammy Carbone. They talked to Barbara Randall, right? And then out of the woodwork, 2 years later, that friend who says he had a conversation in the bar with Judy, who said, I'll poison her if she cheats on me, right? That's John Haywood. He comes forward 2 years later. He's Leroy's first cousin. These are the civilian witnesses you're going to hear from. And they all throw shade at Judy, right? They're all picking, oh, this piece of little evidence, or she said this once, or I have this text message, or I swear Leroy said this to me, even though Leroy's not around, right? And this becomes the foundation of the prosecution case. These things from these people. And they're admittedly hurt, angry, upset, confused, looking for answers, but they get the wrong answers by pointing the finger at her. And that gets demonstrated through the science and the math of this case. Basic science and basic math. Lawyers don't go to law school because they're good at math and science, right? So the police go eventually and they search Judy Church's home, and they find this bottle, which is not this exact bottle, but this is a replica of the bottle, okay? The exact bottle should come in as an exhibit, as will many photographs. And it's a red Powerade fruit punch drink. It is known to be, by family members who tell the police, this is Leroy's, one of his favorite drinks. This is one of his favorite drinks. And it's in a clear plastic bottle, and in the bottom of it is not something that doesn't look right. In the bottom of it is something that's bright orange, a bright orange liquid. Bright orange liquid. In the bottom of what's supposed to be red powder. What they're trying to suggest is that Judy Church somehow slipped in this invisible, sweet-tasting ethylene glycol from antifreeze, and then he drank it all and didn't know it. Then came down the hallway and didn't know that he just drank something poison even when he talked to the EMTs. That's what they're trying to suggest. Well, they're trying to prove that's not a reasonable doubt. So now there's this clear plastic bottle, supposed to have red fruit punch in it, his favorite drink, and it's got orange, something orange in it. The police sees it, they test it, right? And it comes back positive for ethylene glycol. Prosecutor referred to it as antifreeze, the common ingredient. And left to itself, that is a sweet-tasting ingredient, ethylene glycol, by itself. But there's a Massachusetts general law that requires that when these products are sold in Massachusetts, and there's others in other states, that antifreeze and other things that use ethylene glycol have to have a bittering agent in it to alert people, right? So there's not an accidental consumption or something like that. Doesn't mean you wouldn't be able to chug it down if you were determined, but you would be alerted to its presence. They don't test for it, ever, even now. But the defense does. We hire a lab and say, hey, we have a test for this bittering agent. Was it in there? And they do the testing, and they find, yes, it was. The bittering agent was in substance. So now you've got the clear plastic bottle, supposed to have red liquid in it, has bright orange liquid in it, seems to have, has the ethylene glycol in it from some source, probably antifreeze, and has the bittering agent. That's the basic science. Bittering agent is called denatonium benzoate. Now, the math of it is essentially that based on the amount of ethylene glycol in Leroy Fowler's blood, and based on the concentration of it in the sample, it appears that he would have had to have drank about 3 bottles of that stuff to put himself in the state that he was in. And that's just the math of it. So these are the questions that exonerate Judy Church. Now, what happened to Leroy? What happened to Leroy, right? Well, you guys might be in the best position of all to get good insight into that. You're going to hear from all these witnesses and get a chance to evaluate all the evidence. And you might figure it out or have good ideas about it. Or you might not. You might not figure it out because that's not your mission. Your mission isn't to find out, well, what did happen to Leroy? Your mission is much narrower and much clearer. Have they proved beyond a reasonable doubt that she murdered him? That's your mission. Now, when Leroy died, so did all of Judy's dreams to go to Florida. So did many of her relationships, including a valuable one with Tammy Carbone, Leroy's sister-in-law, and other people. She got accused, and now she stands alone to defend herself. But Judy Church is not a murderer. She's a lot of things. She's a daughter, sister, a mom, teacher, an educator, an ex-wife, girlfriend, a bit of a fool. She's not a murderer. At the end of this trial, the defense will have another chance to address you all, and by then, the jigsaw puzzle will be finished. And it will be missing pieces, and at least one of those pieces is going to be the wrong color. Orange, bright orange. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scully. Mr. Camilli, are you prepared to start with your first witness, or? All right. Let's take the break at about 11, but let's get going with the first witness. Thank you.
I'm all Monica Arms.
If anybody would like to stand up and stretch for a moment before our first witness, please do so. Do me a favor, just stand on this blue line.
Yes, if you face me, raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the trial sound hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you, maybe you do.
Good morning.
Good morning, you can have a seat. Good morning, ma'am. Tonight's loud voice, could you introduce yourself to the jury and spell your last name?
Sure. My name is Monica Carnes, C-A-R-N-E-S,
And ma'am, where do you work?
Salisbury, Massachusetts Police Department.
How long have you worked for the Salisbury Police Department, ma'am?
Approximately 23 years.
And what is your current job position with the Salisbury Police Department?
I'm the dispatch coordinator.
What does that mean?
I basically run dispatch.
So just for, it might be obvious, but what's dispatch? What's that?
So we have 2 minimum dispatchers per shift. We answer 911, handle both police and fire calls.
Okay, and so if a 911 call comes in or another call comes in, you would connect that to the right person or send out people to respond to those types of calls?
We usually send it out. The only thing we really send out is medical calls. We'll transfer it to Atlantic Ambulance. They give emergency medical instructions. They're called EMD instructions. And the rest of the stuff, we handle dispatch, both police and fire internally.
All right, and how long have you been doing this particular job?
23 years.
Okay, and are you a civilian or are you a police officer?
Civilian,
Okay. And is this full-time job or part-time?
full-time job.
Do you have a particular shift that you usually work?
It's usually the 4 and 2 rotation, so I work 4 days on, 2 days off, and they're usually between the hours of 7 and 3.
7 a.m. to 3
7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Sorry.
Now, at the Salisbury Police Department, when a call comes in, is that call recorded?
So it depends on what line it's on. If it's on the 911 line, it is recorded. If it's on the regular business lines, it is not recorded.
Those calls are just kept in the ordinary course of business by the Salisbury Police Department?
Yes, we have a 911 recorder that handles the recording, housing and recording of the 911 calls.
All right. And I want to take you back to November 11th, 2022. Were you working on that day?
I was.
Were you working a normal 7 to 3 shift?
I was.
Were you working on anybody else that day?
Scarlett Smith, she was my co-dispatcher at that day.
Now, a few minutes after 8 a.m. that morning, did you take a phone call regarding a medical issue?
I did.
This call was recorded, is that right?
It was.
And approximately how long you stayed on the line with the call?
I'm not sure. I'd say approximately a minute.
Okay. And at the conclusion of your conversation with the call, did you do anything with the call, send it anywhere else?
Yes, I sent it to Atlantic Ambulance for pre-arrival medical instructions through EMD protocols. May I show you a CD and just ask you, you know, the 911 call was, copy of the 911 call was placed on the CD for this trial? Yep.
Okay. Your Honor, I got this as first reading.
Any objection? No objection. Okay, maybe a minute.
And we have it already preloaded, so we can just play it with the court's permission.
Okay.
Salt Lake Police Department, report where's emergency? Yes, 108 Central Ave, we need an ambulance. Here, what's going on there? I don't know, my boyfriend, must have ingested something, and he can't stand, and I can't help him, and he's torn the bedroom apart trying to stand. Now his nose is bleeding, and he told me call the ambulance. Okay, is he having abdominal pain, or just difficulty standing? Well, it sounds like he's in pain. Yeah, well, he's in pain because he's hit everything in his bedroom. Okay. Is there an apartment number at 108 Central? Yeah, you have to come, up the ramp to the, first set of stairs. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is just see if there's like a ambulance, so just giving you pre-arrival instructions if this is delaying anyone, okay? Okay, we don't wanna go, we're not going to the gate, do you hear me?
Ambulance.
And like I can tell you, some call for transfer of code, just confirm the address and phone number, so.
Call the address of the emergency.
108 Central Ave, second floor. Just to come up the ramp up towards the beach and, take the first set of stairs, I wait for you.
All right, repeat that address for verification, please.
108 Central Ave.
And that's the ramp towards the beach.
Yes.
November 11, 2022, 8:04:23. November 11.
Now, was that an accurate transcript, or excuse me, an accurate recording of the 911 call that you participated in that morning?
Yes.
Okay. And as a result of that call, did you dispatch any police officer or firefighter to go to that scene as well?
I dispatched. I advised the supervisor on duty that my partner was toning out for the fire department. So what I would say, can I say what I would normally say? Okay. So what I would normally say is control to whichever my supervisor is, that be advised that fire and ambulance are responding to such and such address for a medical. In this case, I said that they're responding to 108 Central Ave for a medical aid. Calling party reports that she believes her boyfriend ingested something, was, I believe, my wording.
Thank you. And was that the end of your involvement with that 911 call that morning?
It was my end of involvement with the 911 call itself, yes, not the call. I was still having officers call and clear, so I was still handling normal dispatch things.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Nothing further.
Mr. Narcoons?
Just very briefly, Ron. Morning, ma'am.
Morning.
So the caller identified the address, right?
Correct.
And then identified themselves as well, at that address, gave a name to you,
On the recording, she didn't give her name to me.
and then you, at that point in time, have made a determination that there should be emergency medical personnel going, right?
Correct.
And it's a standard practice that both the fire and the ambulance would go.
It can be. It's up to the police supervisor whether or not he wants to send a medical call. Sometimes they go, sometimes they don't. If they're busy on the police side, they don't always go.
And are the fire themselves EMTs?
The fire department is EMTs.
And they would be the first responders relative to that. In the statement that she gave to you, she believed he had been falling, right?
Yes.
And may have hurt himself, and that he was ingesting something, is what she thought had taken place, correct?
Yes.
Nothing further.
Thank you. Any redirect, Mr. Smith?
No, you're right.
You may step down.
Thank you.
You want to do one more, Greg, or you want to take
Is the next one quick as well?
Not quite that quick, but
We'll take a break now after the witnesses step down. I'll just, jurors, just, you heard me ask if there was any redirect, just so you understand the rules. Each side gets 2 rounds of questions, or questioning for each witness. So the part of the call for the witness, the direct examination, the other part of the cross-examination, you have to follow up, part of the call is called redirect, and then there's recross. Here you didn't see any redirect or recross, it was unnecessary, but you may see much of that during the trial. And then the questioning ends after that second round, so you'll know that in advance. So we're going to take the morning recess now. Let's take 20 minutes now, and then we'll reconvene and comment will continue the presentation.
All right.
Joyce, we can get one vote for the chair.
Yes, thank you.
All rise for the judge.
You don't take points out.
Be seated.
Mr. Camille.
Adam Foss.
Sir, if you'd raise your right hand for me, please. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the cause now and hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. You may be seated.
Good morning, sir. A nice loud voice. Could you introduce yourself to the jury and spell your last name?
Good morning, Adam Foss, last name's F-O-S-S.
Sir, what do you do for work?
I'm a firefighter,
And how long have you been a firefighter, sir?
21 years.
And where are you a firefighter?
Salisbury, Massachusetts.
Okay. And have you been in Salisbury your entire career?
I have.
What is your current rank?
I'm a lieutenant.
Okay. And as a lieutenant with the fire department, obviously you guys fight fires, but what are your particular duties and responsibilities?
So as a lieutenant, I'm in charge of my shift and the people that work with me on a day-to-day basis. We respond to a majority of calls are, medical aids, motor vehicle accidents, house fires, as you mentioned, everything from a stub toe to a cardiac arrest.
Okay. And in addition to your training to fight fires, do you have any medical training?
I do. I am a basic EMT, which means I provide basic life support services.
Okay. And how long have you been qualified as an EMT, sir?
I pretty much, I think 2004. I got it right before getting hired as a firefighter.
Okay. When a call for medical assistance comes in and you're notified, how do you and the fire department respond to a call like that?
So it'll go through our dispatch center. They'll send out a tone, let us know what the nature of the call is, if they have a nature of the call. Otherwise, it's just a medical aid request, give us a location. We respond in the fire engine. We're a class 5 fire engine, which means that we respond to all medical aid calls, but we don't transport.
All right. Now, when you go out to these types of calls, so do you usually go by yourself, or are you usually with anybody else?
Well, myself and my crew, there's either 3 or 4 of us in the engine. Police sometimes respond depending on the nature of the call and location. And then we also have a private ambulance service that provides transportation for patients. That's Cataldo/Atlantic.
Okay. Now, sir, I want to take you back to November 11th of 2022. Were you working on that day?
Yes.
And do you have a particular shift that you work, or do you work 24 hours, or how does that work?
So we work 24-hour shifts. I'm trying to remember at that point. I've been a lieutenant for a few years. I think we kind of had a mixed shift that day. Not the group I'm working with now. But yeah, we work 24-hour shifts, 1 on, 2 off, 1 on, and 4 off.
Okay. Now, at a little bit after 8 o'clock that morning, so around 8:02, 8:05, did you respond to a location in Salisbury for a report of a medical call or medical assistance?
Yes.
Okay, do you remember what that address was?
I didn't really write it down. They come in and they go, I'll respond to a ton of calls.
So,
So
refresh your memory, I said 108 Central?
yes. Yeah.
When you responded to the call, were you coming from the fire station, fire department?
I believe so. I don't. Sometimes we run from one call to the next. I believe we responded from the firehouse.
And you were able to arrive on scene how quickly after the notification?
Rather quickly. I don't have the notes in front of me, but usually response times are within like 5 to 6 minutes.
So when you arrive at 108 Central, what do you do? Were you the first one on scene, or were other people already there when you got there?
Actually, I believe police was on scene first, and I believe there was a number of units all in one building. So he was checking the rear unit first, and then we came to the building or the structure that was closest to the street, knocked on the door, and went into there. So I think we had actually entered the building first, but police were on scene trying to figure out where we were going.
Okay. So when you entered the building, what did you first notice when you entered the building?
A lot of clutter, just kind of stuff everywhere. I mean, we come across that quite often, honestly, but just a lot of stuff like as we walk through, on the countertops, we worked our way through and then to a bedroom.
Okay. And when you got to the bedroom, did you see somebody that looked like they were in some form of medical distress?
Yep, there was an individual seated on the ground next to, I believe it was a bed, and just really unable to, communicate with us.
This Salisbury is a fairly small town. Did you know the individual when you saw him?
I did not.
You learned his name to be Leroy Fowler?
Correct.
And so you said that your initial observation of Mr. Fowler was he was sitting on the floor in the bedroom.
Yes.
Okay. What else could you, as you approached and got closer and started to render some aid, what else did you notice?
He wasn't able to communicate with us. Typically when we respond to a medical aid call, we'll try to ask a series of questions, establish, is he baseline, obviously conscious, alert, breathing, all the basics, and then we get into like history and, what the chief complaint is, why we're there. Unable to answer any of that, just kind of moaning, groaning, no words, no sentences, so we really couldn't get any history from him.
Did he kind of stand up while you were there in the room with him?
He was making like involuntary movements, reaching out, trying to grab stuff. He was, even though he was seated, he was kind of uneasy. At one point, I kneeled down beside him just to steady him and try to like make eye contact and get more information. But again, we were unable to.
Okay, so that time that you were in the bedroom, he wasn't able to communicate with you at all.
No, just noises.
Now, you mentioned that there was a police officer there who responded, and Lieutenant Delaria, is that correct?
Correct.
All right. And you may know, I'm sure you know now, that Salisbury police officers wear body cams when they respond to calls like this, is that correct?
Correct.
Do you have an opportunity to watch the body cam footage of your response to 108 Central on November 11th, 2022, sort of preparation for your testimony here today?
I did.
Your Honor, I'd offer that body cam.
Maybe admitted as exhibit 2?
And with court permission, we're going to play what's on the market exhibit 2, starting at about the 3-minute 15 mark, just to cut out the officer's travel time driving his car to the call.
Is there a ramp over here? Yeah, is there a ramp? No? What? There's no answer to the door. Hello? 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 Set up the ramp. No. No, they said up the ramp, which I would assume is this one. Can you call back? I'm getting no answer to those. It's a big hippo. We open this door. Head's like this big, just looking at me.
This is all cash.
Yeah, this is that.
We call for the fire department?
Someone in there?
Hello?
We're able to reach her. What the fuck happened in there? She's clean.
He said, I fell like 3 times, again, my leg hurt. So I helped him to the bathroom, and he just bounced me off every wall it was. Leroy?
Leroy!
I'll get you.
Leroy! Hey! Leroy! What's going on, bud? Hey! What's going on today?
He must have been just something, I don't know how.
Is that careful? Hey.
Working in the house all day yesterday. So that's my thought, I mean, it's not ever like this.
Leroy!
Leroy. Oh, it's dead. Looks like a seizure maybe?
When's the last time you saw him, like, normal?
Yesterday,
Yesterday,
last night.
last night. So today, you guys woke up, where,
Sunglasses.
And, watching TV, doing whatever. And, to my knowledge, he did not have any drugs on it.
doesn't know to use any drugs?
Even like marijuana or anything like that? Anything? Gummies, stuff like that?
What's that?
Like gummies and like.
No, definitely not. This looks like perks to me.
Okay.
I've seen it before. I've seen it before. Yes, I've seen this, this.
Reacting to it. Okay. You okay, bud?
Leroy! Leroy!
Hey!
But I can't say it, I don't even know where we would have gotten. You know, working around the yard all day yesterday.
Okay, alright.
You haven't been complaining of anything? Headache, dizziness?
Well, he was dizzy yesterday, yeah, doing work. He lifts more than he should.
Okay. Any chest pain, complaining of chest pain,
Yeah,
shortness of
no,
breath, any
no.
cough?
He wouldn't tell you.
See any seizures? No?
Diabetic or anything?
And,
Diabetic or anything?
but he has a pacemaker, so his heart issues. He smokes too much, so he has, I can hear the COPD.
Good. I'll step back here.
You wanna let him know, stay in the chair? So I won't take a walk over?
Yes, not very much.
If you don't mind. Just not, yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Something hurt you, Leroy? Something, you in pain?
He bounced off every sharp corner of his.
108 Central, 388
Like seizure maybe or something?
It is like one.
He wouldn't tell me, I guess that's an emergency. It's just like the bleed came in.
So he was talking to you,
Just that, and, call the ambulance after this.
so you have to tell him to call the ambulance?
Yes.
No, relax, Leroy, we got you. Sit back. Sit back, big guy.
Alright, relax.
It's okay, bud.
Alright, well.
You guys want to pull me in this? I don't hear that. Oh, okay.
All right, hold on, though, relax, relax.
Say, Leroy, relax, buddy. We're here to help you.
Relax.
Just lean forward. No, don't fight us. You got a pacemaker.
Do you have anything with just pacemaker?
He said like, call in, something like that. We can't communicate with us now. Yeah, so.
Faster. Good boy, we're gonna pick you up and put you in a chair. You wanna check on me at all? Shake your head, yes, no? Any minutes that it takes?
Is the gas on? Is gas on?
Do you have a list or anything? Okay, any allergies?
That's just going?
We already gotta sit back, all right? We're gonna put some straps around you, we're gonna carry you out. Yeah, yeah, do you wanna drive, or we can get home somehow? So what if, other than the pacemaker, what does he have for medical issues, anything?
No, really? Oh fuck, so we have to close and then open? I don't even know, pick up and over, huh? Hey, you guys can have a challenge getting him out of here, it's not. This is when I go. Tough time getting him out of here, it's a clusterfuck. He's like combative, because I don't know if he had a seizure or something, but.
Him to be through. I can't understand.
I don't think you. I think it. Was that what Grace said?
Said there's no reason to use a parking brake and also we need front brakes as well, so that would be why the replacement. So if you got Monday and do your car.
You can do it next week, fall.
Now, with the caveat that the officer wearing body cam kind of stepped in and out of the room that you were in, did that accurately portray your interactions with Mr. Fowler on November 11th of 2022?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in the video, as it's playing, you can hear in the background or on the audio somebody groaning, sort of almost constantly. Who is that?
It was the individual on the ground.
Mr. Fowler?
Yes.
Okay. And Obviously, you had a little bit more contact with him than the video shows because the video doesn't quite get him into the ambulance. From when the video ends until you ended your involvement with Mr. Fowler that morning, was he able to give you any other information? Was he able to talk to you at all?
I don't recall any conversation with him.
Did his appearance or his demeanor change at all from when you got him into the chair into the last couple of seconds before he got into the ambulance?
I'd say the only difference would be he kind of, I guess, maybe felt more stimulated because we were moving him, so started to grow a little bit more. I think you heard at one point said to just relax and try and get him in a chair and get him out. Started to be a little bit more movement-wise with the arms and stuff like that, but that's it.
And based on your medical treatment, I know you're not a doctor, were you able to figure out what, at that point, what was wrong with him?
No, that was what we struggled with, trying to come up with the right plan and, hospital for him. We really had no idea what was going on.
So while you were there on scene, did you, aside from sort of holding him up to make sure he didn't fall down, hurt himself that way, did you provide any sort of medical intervention for him that morning at the house?
No.
And in the bedroom itself where you were, or in the kitchen as you walked in and out, did you notice any drugs or anything like that anywhere in the apartment?
I did not.
I don't know any further. Thank you. Your witness, Mr. Norquist.
In relation to responding to an event such as this, ultimately you do some sort of paperwork when you get back to the station, right?
That's correct.
And this is actually I have two different types of documents. One would be the incident report filed by the Salisbury Police Department. Did you have an opportunity to look at that before you came in here today?
Yes, I believe, yes.
And in relation also to that, there is a pre-hospital care report. Is that also done by your group?
It is.
Okay. Did you have an opportunity to look at that?
I did not. I did not fill out that report.
And would you possibly, within the context of that, there's a narrative. Could may I approach to refresh this?
If you may, Coach. If you dare with me sounding like this.
You do the unmarked one, all the secret. You just put that down in front of you and ask you to look at that for a moment. Then there's a narrative section in that, and the purpose of that would be what?
I'm sorry, the purpose of the narrative?
Yeah.
To describe the events, what we saw, what we witnessed, what we did.
Okay. And within the context of that, the fourth line down said he was conscious and somewhat alert when you first got there, correct?
I'm just making sure, so is this the patient care report? Because again, this isn't my report. This isn't my report, though.
This is not your report?
No, so can I explain?
Well, let me just take you to it. In the corner, it has the same symbol, but it's from the fire department, right?
I must object. There's no refreshing going on here. The report itself is not evidence, so we just need to actually ask a reasonable question.
Well, I'm going to allow Mr. Norquist to at least ask the witness about whose report or what this report is. Whether I permit any other questions remains to be seen. Go ahead, Mr. Norquist.
And showing you a second report titled Salisbury Fire Department, the purpose of that would be it has the same logo in the upper corner as the other report called Pre-Hospital Care Report, correct?
Yes, so these are two different reports. I did write this one.
The two reports that are associated, that are required by your department in responding to such a call as this?
Yes, one gets reported to the state, one is in-house, and is on our record system.
But it's the group under you that responded that would supply the information for both those reports, right?
Correct.
So within the context then of the narrative that is there, either you or one of the other people with you filled out that report and said he was conscious and somewhat alert, correct?
Sustained. The witness has said this is not his report. He didn't fill it out.
Again, that is a report done by someone of the crew that's shown in that film, correct?
This patient pre-hospital care report was done by a member shown in that video, yes, not myself.
People with you, right?
Correct,
Okay. Under your direction, right?
correct.
And at any point in time, do you adopt that and sign that as, since you were in charge of that group, and it becomes your report?
I do not. That's what this report's for.
Who did the actual narrative report? Of those men who were there with you, who did that report?
Matthew Swenson, he was on shift that day, and he was the lead tech for that call.
And in the context of it, do you collectively get together before a report like that is filed and say, how do we report this?
We have discussions on it, but it's up to him to write how he handled the call, what he did for treatments. I don't really have any input other than, sharing experiences on calls and trying to, figure out what was going on. But this is just a factual report on what he did.
Okay. So he's the person that does the medical assessment.
Correct. We always work in teams, but there's always a lead tech, we call it, and that's the one responsible for doing the pre-hospital care report.
So from the fire department, from the crew that we just saw there is a person that is responsible for the medical assessment.
Correct.
And that's the person that did the analysis.
Correct.
So you don't make the medical assessment.
Well, again, we work as a team to provide care for the patient, but when it comes to the record portion, record keeping, only one person can write a report, and it's the lead tech. So that would have been Matt for this call.
And that would be the person most qualified to give the medical assessment of the group that was there.
Not always the most qualified. We were all basic EMTs, so we had the same qualifications. Again, it was just on that particular shift, I was in charge. It was his responsibility to do the report. That's just kind of how
You're
it.
going to want to make sure he doesn't write something that you completely disagree with, right?
I've
You're the shift commander, right?
I've never come across that. Like
Well, that wasn't the question. You don't want him to write down something that you don't agree with, right?
I don't really have any control over that. He writes down, what he saw, what he did, how he performed, vitals. That's. I never questioned. We train on this. I never questioned one of my guys whether he's doing a report correctly.
Well, so if he's in charge, he makes the medical assessment independent of you. Your observations as to medical issues there don't carry the same weight, right?
I'm not quite sure
Well,
I understand.
One person, you're telling me, makes the medical assessment. One person
No, I said one person does a report.
of the medical assessment. Without any input from you.
On the report, correct. I don't provide any input while he's making the report.
So whatever that says, whoever else it goes to, and whatever accountability is for that, your hands are clean.
I don't understand.
Either you've got any of the shift commander,
Correct.
people under you report what you believe should be reported as a charge, or they don't, right?
I'm not sure
What
whether.
you're telling me is the person that does this report operates.
Would you like to just answer the first question, Judge? Yes, just a moment. You asked the question and you started to say, I think I'm not sure. You may finish what your response was to the first question.
Could you repeat the first question then?
You don't need to repeat the first question. I think we can infer you were saying you don't understand the question. Next question.
So this pre-hospital care report is done by the person most medically qualified of your group, and you don't have any input to it.
Again, that's not accurate.
What would be accurate?
It's not, I've already stated, it's not the most qualified person. We have the same qualifications. It's the person that was in that role on that engine that day that was responsible for doing the report. Sometimes we alternate. If it was another call, I can say, okay, I'll do this report. Depends on who the lead tech was. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. He was the lead tech. I was the officer. The third individual was the driver. So we all have a role. Sure, we all assess patients. We all try to provide patient care. But there's only one individual that does that report. I don't put my fingers in it. Neither does the driver. Neither does the police officer. Just that one individual. So.
Just the last couple of questions. So this would be the only report as to the condition of the person that you saw on that morning, correct?
From us, yes.
Can I explain the documents you have?
Yes, ma'am.
Would it be a fair assessment that when entering the room, Mr. Fowler was conscious and somewhat alert? Is that your memory?
He was conscious and by somewhat alert. Yeah, I mean, he was able to make noises.
Nothing further, Judge. Thank you.
Mr. Camilio, any follow-up?
No, thank you, sir.
You may step down, Lieutenant. Thank you very much. Before your next witness, I just want to make an observation to the jury. Jurors, during the testimony of the last witness, who was Lieutenant Foss, you heard references to various reports, one of which he said he wrote, one of which he said he didn't. And throughout the course of this trial, you may hear various witnesses questioned about something that they may have said in a report, or perhaps something somebody else said in a report. It could be a reference to something a witness may have said in an interview, even perhaps a recorded interview. It may be a reference to what someone may have said in a grand jury. And when you hear these things, you may think to yourself, I'd like to see that report. I'd like to see that recorded interview. I'd like to see the grand jury transcript. What I want you to understand is that our rules of evidence allow the lawyers to make certain limited use of these documents. One of the most frequent ones is if somebody has said something in a report, for example, on a prior occasion, that may be construed to be somewhat different from what the witness may be saying on the witness stand. Maybe be asked, didn't you say something different during an interview? Didn't you say something different in your report? Did you say something different before the grand jury when testifying? That's a permissible use. But what neither side can do, neither lawyer on either side or any of the lawyers on either side can do, is simply offer those documents into evidence. So you shouldn't hold it against any attorney or the parties they represent that you're not seeing these things that you might think you'd like to see, because our rules of evidence don't permit them to do that. So I want you to understand that at the outset as you start to hear these references to various documents and the like. Mr. Camillia, your next witness.
Thank you. Matthew Swenson.
Sir, if you would kindly face me and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the cause now hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. You may be seated.
Good morning, sir. A nice loud voice. Could you introduce yourself to the jury and spell your last name, please?
Good morning. My name is Matthew Swenson. It's Swenson.
All right. And I know it's maybe a little uncomfortable because you're a big guy and the microphone's a little too far away, but you can pull it a little bit closer if you need to sort of try to stay out there. And sir, what do you do for work?
I am a fire lieutenant, EMT.
All right. And how long have you been a firefighter, sir, with the Salisbury Fire Department?
25 years.
Okay. And as a lieutenant with the fire department, so what are your duties and responsibilities?
I'm in charge of a shift. I have 3 firefighters under me.
Okay. And what sort of calls do you and other members of the Salisbury Fire Department respond to?
We respond to fire calls, public assists, medical emergencies, public service, pretty much everything.
All right. I know you guys are still starting that sort of thing. So you also mentioned that in addition to being a lieutenant, you're also an EMT. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
All right. And when did you get your EMT training, sir?
In 1996.
Okay. So
30 years.
30 years. All right. So were you an EMT prior to becoming a firefighter?
Yes.
And that is the basic EMT certification?
Yes.
All right. Now, sir, I want to take you back to November 11th of 2022. You working on that day?
Yes, it was.
Okay. And the jury heard from Lieutenant Foss a few minutes ago. So were there 2 lieutenants on shift that day?
No, I was just a firefighter at that time.
Oh, I hadn't been promoted yet at that time. When did you get promoted?
2 years ago.
So that particular day, you, Lieutenant Foss, and a couple of other individuals responded to a medical call a little bit after 8 a.m. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember where you went?
It was, I believe, 108 Central Avenue.
Was that an address that you were sort of familiar with from living in Salisbury, or being a member of this?
We do Central Ave. We do a lot of calls down the beach area. Yes.
Okay. All right. So you Lieutenant Swenson, arrived in the fire truck to that address. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And what did you do when you got there, sir?
I was riding the rear, which is usually the tech guy, which we call it. I grabbed my first in bag, and I went down the walkway to where the police officer was.
Okay. And so as the first in guy or the tech guy, what does that mean?
We're usually the ones that make patient contact first, or to family. We'll ask what was going on, we'll talk to the family, ask what was going on, and then talk to the patient.
Just to sort of divide up the roles?
Yes. Yeah.
So you go into the apartment, into the top floor of the home, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and when you entered, what did you see as you entered the apartment?
We walked in, there was a lot of boxes and stuff around in the apartment. And then the female met me at the door. And then I could hear the gentleman moaning. So she walked me into the bedroom where he was. He was sitting on the floor in the bedroom.
Okay. Did you recognize either the woman who went to the door or the man who was on the floor at that time?
No, I've never met them before.
So you see the man on the floor in the bed, you later learned his name to be Leroy Fowler, is that
Yes,
correct?
yes,
All right.
yes.
And so what were your initial, aside from the moaning you said you could hear from the other room, what were your initial observations of Mr. Fowler when you first saw him?
He was, like I said, he was sitting on the floor in the bedroom. He was just kind of like reaching out. He just had his arms out, and he was moaning.
Okay. Did you make contact with him?
Yes.
All right. What was the result of that sort of first contact you made with Mr. Fowler?
I didn't get anything back from him. I believe I called his name, and I asked him what was going on. He was unable to answer me.
Okay. Just did he continue to moan?
Yeah, I continued to moan and just reach out.
So fair to say he was conscious.
Yes.
Okay. What would you describe his alertness? How would you describe that?
He wasn't very alert. He was conscious. He was breathing fine, but he wasn't very alert. He was, like I said, he was just reaching out and just moaning.
Okay. Now, did you provide any aid to him while you were in the apartment?
We attempted to get vital signs from him, but it was extremely difficult because he was, like I said, he was moving around, kept on moving his arms.
Just couldn't hold still.
Couldn't hold still, so I kept on asking questions, like asking questions to him, see if he would answer me, and asking questions to the female about any history he had, any medications he'd take.
Okay. Was he ever able to answer any of those questions that you asked him about, any medical conditions or questions he asked?
Not at all.
Based on what you were seeing, because you couldn't get vitals and he wasn't able to give you any information, based on what you were seeing at that point in time, were you able to tell what was wrong with him?
I was not, no.
So based on, again, what you're seeing and what you're hearing from him, was that the type of moaning or the breathing that was that at all significant to you or concerning?
No, his breathing was fine. His pulse was fine. He had a really strong pulse. It was just he was unable to answer me.
So based on that, what you were seeing, what you were hearing, what do you guys decide to do at that point?
We definitely need to be transported to the hospital as soon as possible for higher care.
Yeah, okay. More care than
More care.
basic EMT can provide.
Yes.
Did you see any signs of, on Mr. Fowler, any evidence, breath or anything else that he'd been drinking alcohol or something like that?
I didn't smell anything. I got down pretty close to him. I was trying to talk to him. I didn't smell anything.
You were kind of holding him up at that point?
I was kind of holding him up and trying to keep his arms from flailing around.
Was that to keep you from getting hurt, keep him from getting hurt?
Both. Yes.
One of the terms that you used earlier was, I don't want to get it wrong, was you were giving a description of this alertness level. What was the word you used? Was it somewhat, or what was the word you used?
We do our report. It's conscious and alert and oriented. That's what we use our report. It's like CAO, and we do it's either ×4, which is a normal person who's talking. ×3 is a little confused. ×2 is very confused. He was very confused. I'd probably say probably a ×2. A ×1 is almost unresponsive.
So he was conscious but not responsive to your questions?
Yes, that's correct.
And by conscious, obviously, you mean he's breathing.
He's breathing. Yeah, he's breathing. He had a good heart rate.
That's sort of the base, sort of the bottom level, I guess.
Yes.
And then once you said he wasn't able to answer any of your questions in the bedroom, correct?
No.
All right. So you and some of the other individuals that were there providing assistance, you put him in a special kind of chair for transport out of the apartment?
Yes, we call it a stair chair. We sit them in it, and they're secured to the chair with seatbelts to carry them out of the residence.
And called a stair chair? 'Cause
Stair chair.
Going up and down the stairs?
Yes.
So from the time you put him in the chair, you then sort of take him downstairs and wheel him over to the ambulance, is that correct?
Yes.
The ambulance is not operated by the fire department?
No, it's a private service.
So from when you all helped him out of the apartment to the ambulance, during that time at all, was he able to say anything to you regarding his condition?
I don't believe so.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Mr. Nelkins?
Sir, you've been continually employed by the fire department since November of 2022, correct?
Yes, sir.
And on an average yearly basis, how many calls such as this would you respond to?
Uh,
Medical calls.
Medical calls, I'd say probably 1,000 to 1,500 a year.
And so from 2022 to now, you had somewhere around another 5,000 calls, right?
Yes, sir.
And it's fair to say there was nothing significantly unusual about this call, correct? Let me strike that quick. Did you have an opportunity to look at the video before you came in to testify today?
I did, sir. I was shown. Okay.
And in the context of that video, it's fair to say that there was nothing significantly unusual when you arrived. Meaning, his arm wasn't hanging off, you know, you didn't need to do immediate medical attention to it.
No, nothing that I saw that needed immediate attention.
And in relation then to what was done for him at that point in time, you were part of the group that was there. My understanding now is that only one of that group of firefighters writes a report afterwards called a pre-hospital care report, correct?
That's correct, sir. It's usually the tech who takes care of the patient who has initial contact. That would be me.
And did you have an opportunity to look at that before you came in here today to refresh your memory?
I did not, sir.
And if I showed you a document, would you be able to tell me that's the report that you in fact did?
Sure.
May I go? Mr. Mayor? Ask you to just take a moment, look at that cover sheet, sir. Is that the document that you prepared in relation to the response you did for Mr. Fowler?
Yes, it is, sir.
And how quickly after the event is that done?
It's usually done right after the call when we get back to quarters.
And the words that are contained within the narrative would have reflected your memory of what had occurred, right?
Yes, sir.
And is it fair to say that you said he was conscious and somewhat alert, line 4 in the narrative?
Yes. Conscious and somewhat alert. Yeah. Sorry, forgot my reading glasses.
Sorry. So it does say you wrote that he was conscious and somewhat alert when you arrived.
Yes. Yes, that's correct.
Any redirect, Mr. Oh, you can collect that first. Any redirect, Mr. Committee? No. Thank you. Thank you very much. You may step down, Lieutenant. Mr. Amelia?
Jonathan Lemke.
Sir, you face me and raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in cause now and hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. You may be seated.
Good afternoon, sir. Could you please introduce yourself to the jury and spell your last name?
My name is Jonathan Lemke, Lemke.
And sir, how old are you?
24.
And what do you do for work, sir?
I'm an EMT,
All right. How long have you been an EMT?
coming up in 5 years.
And what is your level of EMT certification?
EMT basic.
Okay. So you were 19 or so when you went through EMT training?
Just about, yes.
All right. We've actually heard from a couple of other witnesses who are also EMTs, but just real quickly, can you tell us a little bit about what kind of training you get to become a basic EMT?
For me, it was a little bit different than the regular. I went through an accelerated course in Massachusetts during COVID to kind of expedite providers in the field, but it's a lot of classroom and practical skill training.
Okay, and the goal being to be able to allow you to provide first responder medical treatment and attention to people who are in need? your EMT certification, where'd you go to work?
The Cataldo ambulance.
Okay. And I see Cataldo ambulances all over the place. So is that a pretty big ambulance company?
Yes, sir.
And do you know where, where were you stationed for Cataldo?
Funny enough, right here in Salem.
Right here in Salem. All right. And is Cataldo also associated with Atlantic? Is that the same company?
Yes, it is a northern division of Cataldo.
Or? Okay. And so usually, what was your normal shift like when you were working for Cataldo?
When I was in Salem, I was a 911 ambulance on a EMT basic truck. When I was operating in Newburyport, I was a 911 and interfacility ambulance.
So what was the second part of that?
Interfacility.
Okay.
So hospital to hospital, hospital to nursing home, non-emergent
I
transports.
see. All right. So in addition to working in the Salem area, you also worked in the Newburyport area?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did Newburyport encompass Salisbury?
Yes, sir. We responded to Salisbury.
Okay. All right. Now, sir, I want to take you back to November 11th of 2022. Were you working for Cataldo at that point in time?
Yes, sir.
All right. And were you working in Salem or in Newburyport at that point in time?
Newburyport.
And that morning, a little bit after 8 o'clock, did you respond to 108 Central Ave in Salisbury for a call for assistance?
Yes, sir.
And so when you arrived on scene, were there other emergency or police personnel already there when you arrived?
Yes, sir. We had police and fire.
Okay. So when you arrived on scene, what did you do, sir?
I stepped out of the ambulance and spoke with the police and fire department on scene. I believe there was also a female who was the caller who I spoke with, and then I went inside to see the patient.
All right. So when you arrive on scene and firefighters are already providing some assistance to a patient, do you take over or do they keep doing it? How's that work?
We take over.
Okay. So you take over when you walk in, and so what did you notice about the patient when you walked in and first started assessing him?
From what I recall, he was sick, lethargic, confused, either sitting on the bed or next to his bed.
Did you talk to him?
Yes, sir.
What were you asking? What were you saying?
I was asking what was going on, how he was feeling, if he knew where he was, what was going on with him, and I asked about any drug reviews.
Was he able to answer you at that point in time?
He was struggling. He was definitely confused to time and place, but with prodding and questioning, yes.
Okay. And so what part of the question was he able to, what part or all of your question was he able to answer?
He was able to describe how he was feeling. He was able to identify himself, and he was able to confirm that he had used Percocets.
Okay. And where was this conversation in the house or was this conversation outside?
Began in the house and then transitioned into the ambulance.
Okay. And do you remember if this was mostly in the ambulance or mostly in the house, this conversation? This is transition. How long were you in the house for this?
Very briefly, we tried to check him out, make sure he was okay, and then get him home.
So we say very briefly, 5 minutes?
Yes.
And so, how long, so you put him in the ambulance, so you said he was able to talk to you about some issues, is that right?
Yes, sir.
What did he say?
He stated to me that he took 2 Percocets the night before the incident.
What's a Perc 10?
It is a type of Percocet.
10 milligram pill of Percocet?
I believe so, yes.
All right, and was he able to give you any other information?
Not much outside of how he was feeling.
What did he say about how he was feeling?
He himself acknowledged that he was confused, he didn't know what was going on, and that he was feeling sick.
So so you put him in, you would assist from the fire department, he goes into the ambulance, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And where does he go from 108, where does he go to?
We transported to the NHS hospital.
And how long, I know it's a little bit inexact, but about how long from 108 Central Street, Salisbury to NHS?
It's been some time, but I would say between 15 and 30 minutes.
Did his demeanor or his presentation change during the course of the ambulance ride?
Not that I recall.
Was he still moaning the way he had been when he walked into the apartment?
Yes, sir.
with the arms still flailing around a little bit, or was he kind of restrained within the chair?
Once he was in the ambulance on the stretcher, he had seatbelts on, so there wasn't much room for him to be able to flail.
Based on what you were seeing, could you tell what was wrong with him?
I didn't have an exact diagnosis. That's not actually within our job to do, but I had an impression of substance abuse, but not one of substance overdose.
So the riding to the hospital, is that just you and your ambulance crew, that's all no crew, no fire, no police?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. No further questions.
Mr. Narcous?
So Lindsay, these were being asked here to recall events of November 2022, correct?
Yes, sir.
It'd be fair to say that your memory would have been better back in, say, early 2023 of those events than it would be here today, 4 years later.
Yes, sir.
And at any point in time, did you have a chance to go in and do an interview with the police officer?
Yes, sir, I did.
And did that, in fact, interview take place in February 6th of 2023?
Yes, sir.
And were you asked somewhat similar questions as Mr. Camino asked you here about what took place that day?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. When you arrived on that day, it's fair to say you're trying to make a determination of what the medical needs are of that person, right?
Yes, sir.
And when you don't see something exterior to the person, such as blood or cut or redness indicating what the cause may be or the injury may be, you ask them what's wrong, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you ask them to tell you, can you help us? Did you take something? What's wrong, right?
Yes, sir.
And in response to that, in this particular case, Mr. Fowler was able to give you a verbal response, right?
Yes, sir.
And you said, I think that he actually did that twice, once in the house and once in the ambulance?
Yes, sir.
And when you were asked back in February of 2023, you recall that you believed at that point in time that you said it was something along the lines of, I took 10 pills, was the response from Mr. Fowler?
Yes, sir. And that was a statement made in error.
I'm sorry, that
That was a statement made in error. I was,
when the February 2023, when you told us your memory was much more alert than it would be today of those events 4 years ago, that statement was wrong.
yes, sir. Prior to that interview, I had spoken with my previous employer to gain access to my report for that patient. My previous employer refused, but instead verbally read it aloud. And when he read it, he told me 10 Percocets instead of the 2 Percocets.
And did you have some sort of seance that allowed you to know that that statement was incorrect and the 2 10s were correct?
Objection, Judge.
To the form, sustained to the form.
At some point in time, after February 2023, you then came to make some realization that that statement that you made in 2023 was incorrect, right?
Yes, sir.
And did you go back to the police and file a new report?
I did not, sir.
Did not?
No, sir.
So up until testimony here today, that statement of 2023 was your official statement?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. In relation to, let me strike it, when you went into the meeting in February of 2023, were you threatened in any way by the officer that was taking the statement?
No, sir.
Did he treat you harshly?
No, sir.
Did he view you in any way by the questions he asked?
No, sir.
And when you gave in your answer at that point in time of, I took 10 perks, is it fair to say that at that point in time was the answer you believed was correct?
Yes, sir.
And you believe that that's the answer you heard twice from Mr. Fowler? In 2023, that was the answer you believe you heard twice from Mr. Fowler?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. At any point in time, did he indicate to you or make a statement to you, somebody tried to poison him?
No, sir.
Did he indicate that it was what he drank that caused this illness?
No, sir.
And when you were talking to him, and his statement came out relative to
pills, did you believe you were trying to influence him to tell him what pills did you take?
No, sir.
You just got to ask me, what did you take?
Yes, sir.
In that context of his condition that he was able to respond to, he was alert enough to know what the question was and gave you a response to the question, right?
I believe not initially, but after repeated questioning, yes, sir.
You said, what did you take? And he gave you an answer of taking something, which back then you said you thought was 10 pills, now you believe it's 2 for 10, right?
Yes, sir.
But he was still addressing you and answering responses to the question.
Yes, sir.
Would it be fair to say that you actually answered 3 separate questions? That's right. Did anybody show you a copy of the interview you did back in February of 2023 prior to coming before here today?
No, sir.
I suggested to you that there were 3 times in that interview that you were asked similar questions, and each time you said it was 10 pills. Does that refresh your memory that you answered it 3 times to the officer?
Yes, sir. I did say that.
May I have a moment, Mr. May? Thank you, sir. I don't have any other questions.
Mr. Camillo, any redirect?
Yes, thank you. So you were asked if your memory was better in February of 2022 as it is today, and you said it was, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Fair to say that your memory was best on November 11th of 2022?
Yes, sir.
And in connection with your duties and responsibilities for the college, you write a report when you go out for a service call like this?
Yes, sir. Every transport.
And you do that report on the day of service?
Yes, sir.
And did you do a report in this particular case?
Yes, sir.
And may I approach you?
Mr. May.
Sir, just hand you a 2-page document. Just take a look at that for yourself. And to read yourself for a second. Did you recognize the document I handed you?
Yes, sir.
And what do you recognize that document to be?
That is my patient run report.
Patient run report? The patient run report you wrote on November 11th, 2022 after providing some medical assistance to Mr. Fowler?
Yes, sir.
And what did you write? Did you make a note in that report about what Mr. Fowler told you about the Percocet use that day?
Yes, sir.
And what did you write in the report?
I directly wrote, patient states he has taken 2 Percocet 10 pills within the last 12 hours.
Thank you. Another further.
Mr. Norquist, any follow-up?
So, when he actually spoke to you, Mr. Fowler, he not only had a quantity of the pills, he knew the time frame that he took them.
Yes, sir.
And he said, alert enough to give that type of response. This quantity within this time period.
I don't recall him being able to give an accurate time outside of the night before the incident.
Well, you were 12 hours, right?
Yes, sir.
You don't want to mislead any other medical personnel doing it, right?
No, sir.
And if you said sometime during the night, that can be a big difference between 12 hours and sometime during the night. Right?
Yes, sir.
You wrote specifically for 12 hours to give you a definitive answer.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. You may step down, Mr. May.
Your Honor, Commonwealth calls Tammy Carbone.
Mr. Stelly will be doing this witness, just so the court knows.
Thank you.
Make your way over to the office.
Do me a favor and just stand on this blue line right here.
Sarah, if you're facing me, raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the cause now hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. You may be seated.
All right, good afternoon, man. And a nice loud voice, just make sure you keep your voice up the whole time. Can you introduce yourself to the jury and spell your last name?
Tammy Carbone, Carbone.
And then, where do you live?
I live in Salisbury, Massachusetts.
How long have you lived in Salisbury?
I have lived there for 30 years.
And what was your relationship to Leroy Fowler II, or Leroy Fowler Jr., as he's sometimes referred to?
I'm his sister.
And older sister, younger sister?
I'm his older sister.
And were you and Mr. Fowler, you and your brother, close?
Yes,
He also lived in Salisbury for a lot of his life, is that right?
yes,
And did you guys spend time together?
yes.
What did you guys do? What did you guys do for fun together?
A lot of times we like to go yard sailing, and I would go down the beach sometimes where he lived.
Okay, and would you guys go down, would you guys actually walk down to the beach area and sit on the beach, or?
Yeah, we'd go down there, and then sometimes we'd go down the beach and go down and get pizza and stuff.
Okay. How often would you see your brother?
Sometimes I'd see him like every week, and I'd see him a couple times a week, and then on the weekends, when it was yard sale time, we'd see each other probably every weekend.
All right, anything in particular that you would sort of look for when you go to these yard sales?
No, we just like to go. We always enjoyed yard sailing together.
I never heard that term before, yard sailing. It's,
Yeah, we really enjoyed it.
okay. And so, would he come by and pick you up, or would you meet him there, or? Yeah.
Sometimes I'd pick him up, sometimes he'd pick me up, and sometimes we'd meet somewhere and we'd go together, and we just really always enjoyed it. It was a thing we all did. The whole family always did it when we were younger, and we enjoyed it a lot.
All right, fair enough. Now, did you know Mr. Fowler's girlfriend, Miss Church?
Yes, I did.
How long have you known Judy Church?
I have known her since he started going out with her.
Did you see her here in the court today?
Yes, I do.
Just point her out and describe what she's wearing?
She's right there with, I believe it looks like a blue jacket, black jacket.
Just ask the record reflect identification, Your Honor. Thank you. And so, about when did your brother, Mr. Fowler, and Miss Church start their relationship? Do you remember?
I believe it may have been it was either 13 or 14 years ago.
So around 2012-ish, in that range?
Yeah.
So how did you first meet her? Just through your brother?
Yes.
And did you, so when you would socialize with Leroy, did you also socialize with Miss Church?
Yes, I did.
And was she part of the yard sailing crew?
Yeah.
All right. And did you and Miss Church have an independent relationship of Leroy?
Yeah. I mean, I would go down there and visit with her, or she would go with us on yard sailing, and she joined in.
Did you and Miss Church sometimes talk on the phone together?
Yes, we did.
Sometimes text back and forth?
Yep.
Did you also know Leroy's other girlfriend, for lack of a better way to put it?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and what was her name? What was her name?
Her name is Barbara.
Barbara Randall?
Yes.
And did you also sometimes, see Barbara and socialize with her when you were seeing your brother?
Yes, when he was with her, if he stopped by or if he called me, she even joined in the yard sale if.
So, a little awkward sometimes?
Yes, it was.
But sort of something you just accepted about your brother?
Yeah.
May I approach you?
Mr. Mayor?
Ma'am, I'm just gonna hand you a photograph and ask you if you recognize the individual in that photograph.
Yes, this is my brother.
Is that a fair picture of what he looked like, in the years before he died?
Yep.
I reference this as the next exhibit.
No. May come in as the next exhibit.
All right, so that's a picture of Leroy, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, and the good-looking puppy that's sitting on his lap, who's that?
that's all.
Salt?
Yep.
Okay. All right, and you know where the picture was taken?
That is at, their house at Salisbury Beach,
Okay, so 108 Central Ave?
108 Central Ave, yep.
Okay, all right, great, thank you. And so
You're welcome.
you're familiar with 108 Central Ave, the home there?
Yes,
Okay. Did you sometimes visit Leroy at the house?
yes.
Okay, and how often would you go over to the house and do things there in the home?
I have been there many a times.
Okay. In the months before his death, were you there frequently?
No, I hadn't been there in quite a while, before that.
Would you still go to the house and see your brother outside of the house?
Yeah, for a while there, I hadn't been in the house. I would go there sometimes and he would come outside and, talk to me. Or I'd pick him up there if we were going anywhere.
Did you make any observations about the inside of the house as a sort of in the months leading up to his death that you noticed as you weren't going in as much?
No, there really wasn't much going on, like outside, there was a lot of stuff outside and stuff, but, I hadn't been in quite a while.
Now, I want to take you back to November of 2022, and in those last couple of days before Leroy died.
Yep.
Do you remember when the last time you saw him was before his death?
Yes, the last time I saw him was, the week of November, 4th, on the top of my street on Brooks Road in Salisbury. I was sitting up there, to pick up my grandkids off the bus, and him and Judy Church, pulled up, and he spoke to me, and that was the last day I saw him.
How do you look?
He looked fine. They stopped there and talked to me a few minutes, and then they went on their way.
You didn't notice any problems with him? Nothing?
Nope, he talked to me to make sure I had a ride into Boston, with my husband, and told me if I didn't, the following week, to let him know. And they were fine, they were getting lunch, and, I talked to him a couple of days after that, and I didn't hear from him at all after that.
All right. So you said you talked to him a couple days, that was what you said about November 4th or so?
Yep.
Okay. And you said you spoke to him a couple days after that?
Yes.
Was that on the phone?
Yes,
Okay, and when you spoke to him on the phone, did he sound like he was doing okay? He was able to talk to you? No
Yeah.
problems communicating with you?
yep.
Okay. Now, November 11th, was that a special day?
Yes, November 11th is his birthday, and I tried to text him that morning, and he never texted back.
And when was the first time that you learned something was maybe wrong with Leroy?
Around 6:30, that night, I, got a phone call from, Judy Church, and, she told me that she had been at the hospital all day with my brother.
And did she tell you what was wrong with him?
She told me that, she took him to the hospital, and she had sat at the hospital all day with him, and, that they took him to, I can't remember the name of the hospital,
Do you remember the first time she said that he went to?
Anna Jake's Hospital.
Okay, and then did she then tell you that he was getting transferred to another hospital?
Yes, she told me that she had him, she gave him, okay to put him on a ventilator because he had something wrong with his pH, and, she went on to tell me this whole story.
When you say this whole story, what did she tell you? What do you remember?
She told me that, the day before he was having trouble, thrashing around at the house, and, he was banging up against the house. They were getting ready to, move furniture out and everything, and he was, going on and banging around the house, and, had knocked over all kinds of furniture and curtains and banging around, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And she said, I don't know what was going on with him. He just, couldn't stand up, but you know how he is. He thinks he's 20 and thinks he can bang around and pick everything up, and I don't really know what was going on with him. And she said, and then he said to me, well, he said if I didn't know any better,
Don't, just because of the way the rules are, you can't tell us what Mr. Fowler said, just some of the things that Mr. Church said, okay?
oh, okay,
All right.
and
So
then,
let me stop you there for a second.
okay,
So she was telling you about some of the events that had happened on November 10th, the day before.
yeah, yeah, she had, and she said, so I, she said, so he was just banging around, falling down, and knocked over all her curtains and knocked over all her paperwork, tax papers and stuff. So I said to her, why are you here with him? Why'd you stay there all day with him? I said, that's not normal. Usually you would call me. I said, and you didn't call me.
Okay, so let me stop you there. So you said she called you around 6 or 6:30
Yes.
that evening?
Yeah,
Okay. And you said usually she would call you. So Mr. Leroy he had a pacemaker.
yes, he had a pacemaker.
He had some other health issues.
Yeah, so whenever he went to the hospital, if Barbara or Judy took him to the hospital, they would call me. I was always the first one they would call if he was there. And I asked her why she didn't call me. I said, you stayed there for like 12 hours and you didn't call me and you gave them an okay to put him on a ventilator and all that and you didn't call me? And she's like, oh, well, and that's when she started giving me the whole story that everything went on and what was going on. And then she started telling me that his pH was off and all this stuff about his blood. And she just went on and on about this whole story.
Okay. So during the phone, do you remember how many phone conversations you had with her that night? Was it just the one that you're talking about?
Then she hung up and then she said, I have to get home because I have to take care of the dogs and pick up all the paperwork and put my curtains all back up that fell down. And so she went on with all that. And then that was the end of that.
So let's go back to that phone call for a second. All right. Now, during the phone call with the conversation with Ms.
Yeah.
Church, did she say something to you that?
To leading, what's the objection? It may be necessary to frame the question, but Mr. Camillo, think about that as you frame it.
Thank you. Did she say something to you that was concerning?
Yes, sorry.
That's okay. So what did she say to you that concerned you during that phone conversation?
She had said that Leroy had said something to her about,
I'll see Counsel Tybar if I need to on this.
Sorry, let me just make a few observations. I sometimes try to explain to you some of the arcane rules of evidence you couldn't possibly understand the basis for many rules that we make for this trial. These are basic things I like you to understand. If you've ever heard an objection because a question was leading. So one thing you should understand is that the party that calls the lawyer that calls the witness is not permitted to ask what we call leading questions. The leading question is a question basically contains information.
What did you think?
it was kind of, it was like,
Sustained.
Sorry.
What did the witness think that sustained? And let me just stop you for a moment, Mr. Camillo. You just heard a statement that this witness made that she attributed to the defendant, Ms. Church, and within that statement is another statement that, according to this witness, Ms. Church attributed to Mr. Fowler, the decedent. Again, it's entirely up to you to credit to what extent, if any, you believe such a statement was made by Ms. Church.
I'm sorry.
But to whatever extent that you do, I want to emphasize something to you. That testimony regarding what Mr. Fowler purportedly said to Ms. Church is only admitted for a limited purpose. It bears on Ms. Church's state of mind at the time she was having this conversation with the witness, Ms. Carbone. And it also, the statement attributed to Mr. Fowler may be considered by you only as it may bear on Mr. Fowler's state of mind at the period of time preceding his death. What you may not consider that statement attributed to Mr. Fowler for, however, is what we refer to as the truth of any facts asserted in that statement. In other words, the statement by Mr. Fowler apparently or purportedly to Ms. Church of some belief that he may have had about whether Ms. Church put anything in his milkshakes, that's not admissible as proof that Ms. Church put anything in his milkshakes. It's fundamentally important you understand that. That is not proof at all, and it would be unfair for you to consider that statement for that purpose. Again, what you've just heard, if you credit it, goes to Ms. Church's state of mind, you go to Mr. Fowler's state of mind, and that's it. Do any counsel need to hear me in light of that instruction? And I'm gonna give you, I'm gonna give you a more fulsome or more complete instruction, what we call a limiting instruction, a little bit later on in the trial. You may hear some of the statements that may be similar in kind, and at that point, I'm gonna give you another instruction that may be even more complete than that. Go ahead, Mr. Camillo.
So after your phone conversation with Ms. Church, did you continue to communicate with her via text that night?
Yes,
Okay. And there was a number of texts back and forth that evening, is that correct?
yes.
And then I'm gonna show you 3 text messages, which are an excerpt from the text message conversation that you had with Ms. Church that night. I'm just asking you to read it to yourself and then just kind of look up at me when you have a chance to read those 3 text messages. Okay, and do you remember the text message conversation that is recorded on these 2 pieces of paper?
Yes,
Okay, and is that, to the best of your memory, a fair and accurate representation of the text message conversation you had with Ms. Church that evening?
yes.
Your Honor, opposite the next exhibit.
Mr. Stubben?
No objection, Your Honor.
Next exhibit.
And this text message exchange between you and Ms. Church consisted of 3 texts that this excerpt, correct?
Yes,
All right. Now, in the first one, at 8:10 p.m., Ms. Church wrote to you, visiting is from 1 to 8, one person at a time, just to let you know, exclamation point. I'll leave to be there at 1 and leave before I'm driving in the dark. You replied, okay, thanks, hope he'll be awake tomorrow. And then Ms. Church wrote to you, me too, exclamation point, think I'll bring him a coffee frap, LOL, correct?
yes.
And did you understand that third text message? What did you understand that to be in reference to?
To bring him a coffee shake,
Coffee frap? Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you understand that to be in reference to?
that she was gonna bring him a coffee shake, maybe.
What did you understand it to? Did you understand it to be referring back to anything?
Yes, the same conversation she had told me that,
The conversation you had earlier on the phone?
yeah,
All right. Now, when did you actually get the chance to go to the hospital and see Leroy?
I never made it up there and told they were,
You didn't make it to Anna Jake's, right?
no, I never made it to Anna Jake's because she told me they were moving him to, before she even let anybody know he was there. When she called me, they were already, moving him, in transport to bring him to, Mount Auburn, that's where they took him.
Auburn and Cambridge?
Yeah, before she even called me, she sat there and didn't notify anybody, none of the family, sorry.
That's okay, not your fault, I thought she was. Joseph, this might be a good spot to take, we're gonna take the lunch break, this is a good spot to take some questions.
I think we will take the lunch break.
Thank you.
We're gonna break for an hour. Jurors will reconvene at 2 o'clock.
All right. Yes, please get those folks in the chair. Yours, okay.
So when we took the lunch break, you were telling us that you had the opportunity to go and visit Leroy at one of the hospitals. Remember that?
Yes,
In which hospital was it that you went to?
it was Beth Israel.
Okay. And was that on the 12th, so that Saturday, or was that on the Sunday?
That was on, the Sunday.
Okay. And when you saw Leroy on that Sunday, was he awake at all?
No,
He was, what could you tell about, just by looking at him at that point in time?
they, still had him on the machine and that's when they were, gonna take him off the machine.
So what you said, he was on a ventilator?
He was on a ventilator, yeah.
And that day, you and the rest of the family had to make a decision to take him off the ventilator. Is that right?
Yes,
And he died on the 13th that evening, around about 7:30 that evening. Is that right? Or not 9:30.
yes, it was around 9:30, I believe. It was about closer to 9:30, yes.
And, you know, while you were with him at the hospital, he never woke up.
No,
Um, That's all I have, Jess. Thanks.
Mr. Scully, thank you very much. Good afternoon.
good afternoon.
My name is Liam Scully. I represent Judy Church. You and I have never spoken before, is that right?
Right,
Okay. I just have a few follow-up questions. Is that okay?
yes,
Okay, great. So you are Leroy Fowler's sister,
yes.
and where was your family originally from?
I was originally from Newburyport, Mass.
Okay, and did you grow up in the Essex County area?
Yes,
Okay, and grew up with Leroy as a brother in the house for the most part?
yes,
Knew him very well, obviously, it sounds like,
yes,
and had a good relationship with him.
yes,
When he, do you know the name Julie Hawkins?
yes.
Who is Julie Hawkins?
That was one of his girlfriends.
Okay, and was that a relationship that he was in before he was in a relationship with Judy Church?
Yes.
Okay, do you know how long he was in that relationship?
Oh, probably 14, 15 years.
Okay, and did they have a son together, Michael Hawkins?
No, that was his stepson.
So Julie Hawkins had a son, Michael Hawkins?
Yes,
Leroy, through his relationship with Julie, Michael felt he was his stepson? Or they
Yes.
Considered himself stepson?
yes.
Was that like a legal situation or just a
No,
familiar way?
it was just like, it was her son.
Okay. And was there a time when Leroy Fowler and Julie Hawkins lived together
Yes, they lived together for many years.
for many years?
Yes.
And during that time, were they raising Michael Fowler? Was he growing up?
There's no Michael Fowler.
sorry,
His name is Michael Hawkins.
Michael Hawkins, were they
Yes.
raising Michael Hawkins? And also there's Leroy's son, Leroy Fowler, right?
Yes,
Were they also raising him at the same time?
yes,
Were there any other children in that household at that time?
no,
Okay, so you've got Leroy Fowler and Julie Hawkins and Michael Hawkins and Leroy become junior?
yes,
Okay, those are the four people
yes.
living in that household for many years.
Well, Michael Hawkins wasn't there for many years. He was grown.
Okay, but some of the time he was there?
Yes,
All right. And that sort of functioned as a family unit before Leroy had any involvement with Judy Church. Is that fair to say?
yes,
Now, at some point, is it fair to say that Leroy and Julie Hawkins separated?
yes.
At the time that they separated, was she sick?
Yes,
Okay, did she have cancer?
yes.
And did she survive that battle with cancer, or is she deceased as a result?
No, she's deceased.
Okay. So Leroy and Julie broke up at some point before Judy Church comes onto the scene, right?
No, she did not. Judy Church got with Leroy when Julie was still alive.
She was still alive, correct?
Yes,
But do you remember a time when Leroy had moved into a house that was then owned and lived in by Judy Church and by her husband Rusty?
yes,
Okay. And at that time that he moved into that house, Julie wasn't with him in that house.
no,
Right, meaning correct.
yes,
Okay. So by that time, you recall that there was a period where Leroy was living with Judy, who was still married to her husband Rusty, within the same house, different units. That's not right?
No,
Okay, how's that not right?
because Judy Church moved my brother into her house with her husband.
Okay. And they lived together, right?
Yes,
And that, is it fair to say that they lived together in that dynamic for plus or minus a year or so? What would be your memory of that time?
no, it wasn't a year.
How long do you think?
Yes, we can. Yes, you may. I'll see you sideline.
Story and started renovations on the first story eventually, right?
Yes,
And there was also a cottage unit in the back where renovations were done and tenants lived, right?
yes,
Now, those renovations, they went on for quite a while in all those various phases, right?
yes,
It's a big project that Judy and Leroy did together.
yep,
And during that time, Judy and Leroy appeared to have a good relationship, right?
no, not, yes,
Okay. They bought a dog together named Salt, right?
yes,
They moved into these houses together, right?
yes,
And this is the era where you became friendly with Judy Church, right?
yes,
And she became a friend of yours,
yes,
not just the girlfriend of your brother, but someone you had an independent relationship with.
yes,
And you did things together like yard sailing,
yes,
and sometimes you did that with Leroy, right?
yes,
And sometimes you did that with Judy,
yes,
and sometimes you all did it together.
yes,
It was one of everyone's kind of favorite activities.
yes,
Derivative from your side of the family, Judy
Yes.
joined in, right?
yep,
And those were good experiences you had with Judy during that time, right?
Yes,
Now, during that time, to your knowledge, or did you know a woman named Barbara Randall?
yes,
Okay. You know that eventually Leroy started dating Barbara Randall as well, right?
yes,
And when he started dating Barbara Randall, was that several years after he had initially started dating Judy and living with Judy?
yes,
Okay. Does it sound right to you that there was about 3 years of Judy and Leroy as a couple before you found out that this Barbara Randall was also on the scene?
yes,
Okay. Now, when that happened, to your, did you develop an independent relationship also with Barbara?
yes,
And did you become friends with her?
yes,
And so you knew where she lived, right?
yes,
She was a hairdresser, right?
yes,
And she was a little younger than Judy, about 5 years younger than Judy, is that right?
yes,
Okay. And now for a period of time, really up until Leroy passed, to your knowledge, he had 2 girlfriends, right?
yes,
Judy, who he lived with,
yes,
right? And Barbara, who he spent time with.
yes,
And you're aware that this caused certain friction and resentment between the women.
yes,
They didn't like each other.
yes,
Are you aware of nicknames they had for each other?
yes,
You know what Barbara referred to Judy as?
yes,
What?
grandma,
Okay. And Judy had a derogatory name for Barbara, to your knowledge, right? The
yes,
C word.
yes,
And this became how they referred to each other when they referred about each other or to each other when they were speaking to you.
yes,
And Judy and Barbara did not spend time together.
no,
Okay. Now, Leroy worked his life in construction, is that right?
yes,
And was he a high school graduate?
no.
No. Where did he go to high school?
He went to Newburyport,
Newburyport High School.
and then, I'm sorry, Whittier.
Whittier, okay, and didn't finish.
Yes, he did, sorry.
And then he went into the construction trades
Yes,
and did a lot of work as a roofer,
yes,
and for many years.
yes,
One of his hobbies was riding motorcycles, right?
yes.
Okay, and Rusty Church, did you come to know Rusty Church?
I've only met him a few times.
Met him a few times.
Yes,
Are you aware that he was also a motorcycle rider?
yes,
Okay. And in fact, Judy would ride on the back of Leroy's motorcycle, right?
yes,
Did you see her do that
yes,
many times?
yes,
And they would go, around socially. She'd get on the back of the motorcycle, go up Salisbury Beach and journeys like that, right?
yes,
Okay. And would Barbara also, did you see Barbara at other times riding on the back of Leroy's motorcycle?
yes,
Okay. They wouldn't be on the same day though, that'd be different days, right?
yes,
Okay. Now, 108 Central Ave was a house that Judy purchased with her financial means, to your knowledge, is that right?
Sustained?
Do you know whether Leroy ever owned a home?
Is it relevance or hearsay? Overruled. You may answer the question whether you know whether your brother ever owned a home.
no,
He did not.
no,
Okay. So 108 Central Ave, to your knowledge, was Judy's home. Leroy lived there.
yes,
Now, the dynamic between Barbara and Judy as the simultaneous girlfriends of Leroy, went on for 3 or 4 years. Is that about right?
Yes,
Okay. And it was an open, not a secret, it was an open thing, right? Yeah. And then in 2022, did you become aware that Judy and Leroy had plans to go to Florida?
yes,
Do you know if a house was purchased?
yes.
Do you know what town it was in?
It was in, Hernando, Florida.
Okay, Hernando, Florida.
Yep,
And do you recall that being sort of a trailer-style house?
yes,
And Judy had the cash to buy the house, right?
I don't know if it was hers and his,
Okay.
but I know they bought it down there when they went down.
Financially at that time, by the time we got to 2022, is it fair to say that Leroy's ability to earn a living got declined?
Yeah,
He had a pacemaker.
yep,
He had, he was on Social Security disability for income.
yep,
He was using some food stamps to subsidize food costs, right?
yep,
And he was working sort of more part-time side jobs at that time.
yep,
He had a hobby of fixing up bicycles, right?
yep,
And so he would collect bicycles that were discarded or maybe available for very cheap money, fix them up, and then resell them. Is that right?
yep,
Okay. And he would do that based out of Judy's house, correct?
yep,
Okay. So his financials, and he worked some part-time, some odd jobs, like, so if there was a project that could be done in a few days, he would still do that project, right?
yep,
But he was having physical problems that were limiting his ability to, or had curtailed his ability to make a living in full-time construction, right?
yep,
Back problems,
yep,
hip problems.
yep,
Okay. Now, back to the Florida house for a second. So, does it sound right that in December of 2021, Judy and Leroy drove to Florida for a period of time?
yes,
About 3 or 4 months. Is that how long they were gone? How long do you think they were gone?
about a month, maybe,
Okay. And that was the trip where they purchased the house.
yes,
And Leroy came home from Florida with a new truck. You remember that?
yes,
Big black Dodge Ram truck, right?
yes, a used truck,
A used truck.
yes,
And that was the truck that he would have been driving from the end of that Florida trip after they bought the house until November when he passed away, right?
yes,
And he also had a couple of different motorcycles over time, right?
yes.
Okay. Now, did you become aware that Judy and Leroy were planning to return to Florida
Yes,
and that they were going to live down there?
yes,
And actually, in November 5th, around November 5th of 2022, they were in the packing stages of that plan.
yes,
A trailer had been filled up with stuff to bring to Florida, right?
yes,
And they were also maybe in the process of getting a second trailer to assist. Is that right? If you know.
no, I don't know,
Okay, you're not sure about that.
not sure.
But you know they were packing, and there was a trailer
Yes,
that
they
was
were
packed.
packing,
And his birthday was November 11th, right?
yes,
And they were about to go to Florida really any day there, right?
Objection, Judge.
Oh, what's the objection, Mr. Committee?
She doesn't know what their plans were.
Well, she's been testifying all about them, but if that's, the objection is sustained.
So on November 11th was his birthday, right?
yes,
And it was the day after that that you learned that he had gotten sick, is that right? Was it the
No.
12th?
She called me the day of his birthday, the 11th.
Okay,
She called me and told me she was sitting at the hospital all day, the 11th, the
okay,
day of his birthday.
okay. So she made that phone call to you on the 11th,
Yes,
that she had been at Anna Jake's hospital all day,
yes,
and it seems to have upset you that that phone call wasn't made earlier.
yes.
Okay.
She
And,
sat there for 11 hours and didn't call a family member, and I always was called. She sat there for 11 hours.
okay. And now at that time, you were also going through some difficult personal circumstances with your husband, is that right?
Yes, and I was at the hospital. I was sitting one building over.
From Anna Jake's?
Yes, I was sitting at the cancer building. She sat at a hospital for 11 hours and didn't call a family member.
Okay. And she was the healthcare proxy, right?
She shouldn't have been because I was prior to that, so I don't know how she became.
Okay, but at that time, to your knowledge,
She says she was.
Okay,
I never saw any papers proving that
Okay.
she was.
Okay, fair enough. When she was there, you expected a call from her right away, right?
Yes, because I was always the one that was called.
Okay. Understood. But you actually were dealing with your husband's medical situation, which was very serious at the time,
Yes.
all that day, right?
She didn't know I was dealing with my husband's all that day.
Well, she knew your husband was sick.
Yes, she did.
And she was the one who was sitting in the hallway with Leroy, right?
Yes.
And by his bed, right?
Yeah, but she should have made a phone call after sitting there for 11 hours with someone that supposedly had to be on life support.
Ms. Carbone, I have to stop you. I just want you to listen to the question and answer the question.
Okay, sorry.
It's no need to apologize. Being a witness is a challenging thing, but I do need you to listen to the question and
Sorry.
simply answer the question. Again, no need to apologize. Go ahead, Mr. Scott.
Thank you, Your Honor. And is it fair to say that as what the information that was passed to you and that you learned sort of evolved?
Objection.
I missed the question. There's
Is
an
it-
objection. Would you just repeat what you said,
Is
Mr.
it-
Scully, and I'll rule on the objection.
Is it fair to say that the information that you were learning about Leroy over the next few days sort of evolved?
Yes.
I'll allow that to stand.
And but the first information that you received about Leroy was in fact a phone call from Judy.
Yes.
She told you you were at Anna Jake's.
Yes.
Was it a phone call or a text?
It was a phone call.
And she told you, is it fair to?
Objection, Judge. Sustained.
She gave you an update, right?
Objection, Judge.
Did she give an update on medical condition? Is that the question?
Yes.
I'll allow that. You may say yes or no.
Yes.
Okay. And so now, and you're upset that it's been a delay, right?
Yes.
Okay. And what action do you take to now kind of get involved in Leroy's medical care?
What action do I take?
So you find out that Leroy's been in the hospital all day for 8 hours, right?
Yes, they took him from there to Mount Auburn.
To Mount Auburn, right?
Yes.
And did Judy go to Mount Auburn to your knowledge?
No, she said she had to go home and clean up the mess.
Okay. And did you go to Mount Auburn?
No, I made a phone call to see what was going on because they were transporting him.
Okay. And at some point, did you come across information that suggested that Leroy may have ingested antifreeze?
Yes, when I called the hospital once they got there.
Was that hospital Mount Auburn, or was that hospital
That was Mount Auburn.
Mount Auburn? Okay. And now, with that information, that was very alarming to you, right?
Yes.
And you started to wonder, how could this possibly happen, right?
Yes.
You knew Leroy had issues with some substances, right?
Yes,
Cocaine,
yes.
Percocets.
Yes,
Okay. And that sometimes those affected his health.
yes, I don't
Right.
know about that affecting his health, I don't know.
There was nothing that you could think of as to why antifreeze, right?
Right,
And there was this text message exchange that, and a phone call that you testified to it on direct exam, right?
excuse me, sorry.
There was a phone call with Judy and a text message that was introduced during direct exam. Do you remember that? I'm gonna get the text.
About antifreeze?
Yeah, well, let me get the text. Okay. Now, this text message, this is Exhibit 4. I'd like to put it on the screen. I don't know if this is going to be as legible as I would like.
Not sideways, I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, let's see if I can zoom in.
Their zooming capabilities?
There are. Let's see if I can get it in. The outline. I don't know. All right, this text message here says in part, from Judy to you, is that right?
Yes,
In green,
yes,
visiting is 1 to 8, one person at a time, just to let you know, exclamation point, right?
yes,
I'll leave to be there at 1 and leave before I'm driving in the dark. And then there's a couple of little emoji symbols, is that right?
yeah, you gotta go up a little bit.
I got what?
I think you have to go up.
I mean, these symbols right there.
Oh, yeah, yep,
Okay. And then you texted her back in blue. Okay, thanks. Hope he'll be awake tomorrow. And a couple more little emoji symbols, right?
yep,
And then she sent you a text message. That says, me too, exclamation point. Think I'll bring him a coffee frap, exclamation point. LOL, meaning laugh out loud, right?
yep,
And you understood that to be a joke.
yep,
And you and her engaged in a number more text messages, right?
yep.
And you recall that your response to that.
Objection.
I'll see counsel at sidebar. the second part. The first part may stand. Do you recall that your response was right, LOL? And if you don't-
Yes.
Okay, the answer is yes.
And with respect to the second part of that text message,
Objection.
That's the part I'm not permitting you to ask about.
okay, no, my objection, Judge.
I do?
And I would like to move this, subject to redaction, in as the next exhibit.
Well, you mean that one particular, right, LOL? If there's, I will admit that if there's a way to put that in that's just that. I don't know that. All right. So,
Okay. So the situation with Leroy at that time wasn't good, right?
Right.
And you were you at that time angry with Judy for not communicating with you earlier?
At that point on the phone or the
Right.
text message?
Well, earlier in my cross-examination, you expressed how angry you were at her for spending 8 hours at the hospital without telling you
Yes.
all day at the hospital, right?
Yes.
But now, in this exchange of text messages, you two are exchanging LOLs to each other, laugh out louds, right?
Yeah. But I was angry that she didn't call me.
But at least in those text messages, you weren't expressing any anger towards Judy Church at that time.
Right.
And you continued to have text messages with her where she would update you about Leroy throughout that day, the 12th, right?
Same objection.
I'm going to allow that question. If you recall, you may answer.
That night.
Yes, meaning the 12th, that night.
Yes.
And you remember Judy texting you that an update from the Mount Auburn Hospital,
Yes.
telling you that Leroy had a kidney that was not functioning, and there was a buildup of bad blood, and they were doing dialysis.
Yes.
And that in her text message, she told you, I gave them permission to do that.
Yes.
Judge, same one.
I understand, overruled. I will allow that question and answer to stand. You understood from her text that she said she gave permission for dialysis, correct, Ms. Carbone?
Yes.
Okay. And this was alarming to you.
Yes.
And you remember your response was, oh my God, is he going to be okay?
Yes.
I'd like to introduce that series of text messages specified to us next exhibit.
We don't need that in evidence.
Can I get marked by that?
You may. They've heard this exchange. I allowed the questions. I didn't allow the content of the text in.
D, Friday.
Now, you're now much more worried with that information that he is having kidney problems and needs dialysis, right?
Yes.
And at that point, still, Judy is your primary source of information, right?
Yes.
And you're not directing, as you're texting back and forth, any anger towards her, right?
No.
Okay. You're asking for information and she's giving you information, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And little Leroy also gets involved in some communications at that time, right?
Objection, Judge.
What's the objection?
I don't know who he's getting, I'm sure he's having conversations with lots of people, but who's he having conversations with?
All right, so you don't understand the question. Could you place the question again?
Yes. You know an individual referred to as little Leroy?
Yes.
Is that Leroy Fowler, your brother's son?
Yes.
And did yourself and Judy and little Leroy set up a three-way group text
Yes,
and also shared information back and forth about how Leroy was doing, right?
yes,
Okay. And is it fair to say that throughout these various text messages, Judy was expressing her own worry and concern?
Sustained.
Can we go to sidebar, Judge?
No. Please continue.
Could I ask that these text messages be marked for identification?
You may. But we're not going to try this case at sidebar.
These are marked.
So, at some point, while all this information is being exchanged, this group text message is being exchanged between you and Little Leroy and Judy, you become Leroy's, or start acting as his healthcare proxy, is that right?
yes,
Okay. And you learn information that he has potentially ingested antifreeze, right?
yes,
And at some point, start to suspect Judy and become angry at Judy, right?
yes,
And the police actually come to visit you and others in your family to take recorded statements, right?
I meet with the police.
Where did that meeting take place?
That meeting took place at William Eaton's house.
William Eaton's house. Who's William Eaton?
He is Leroy Leroy the Third's uncle,
Okay,
which is Leroy's son.
okay. And so William Eaton, to your knowledge, was he someone who was potentially going to sell a trailer to Leroy?
Objection. Sustained.
Um,
No, that means you don't have to answer.
oh, okay, sorry.
Do you know whether William Eaton owned a trailer?
I don't know.
Okay. And so on or about November 12th, is it fair to say that at William Eaton's house, yourself and Leroy Fowler Jr., Little Leroy, and Michael Hawkins all go and are interviewed by police, right?
Michael Hawkins, no.
You don't remember Michael? Okay.
Me and Leroy met at Billy Eaton's house
Okay.
to be interviewed.
And two police officers they set up like a little room, or a little room was designated, right?
Yes,
In the house.
yes.
Is it like a kid's room?
No, we were in a dining room.
A dining room, okay.
Yes,
And people were brought in one at a time to be questioned by these two police officers, right?
yes,
And it was you, right?
yes,
And Little Leroy, right?
yes,
And William Eaton, right?
yes.
And you don't think Michael Fowler was there?
Michael Hawkins?
Michael Hawkins was there.
He was not there when I was
Okay.
there, no.
Okay. And that took place for about an hour on that day, right?
Yeah,
And by that time, is it fair to say that you were very upset with Judy,
yes,
angry,
yes,
resented her,
yes,
and also had become highly suspicious, right?
yes,
And started to form a belief that somehow she was the one who poisoned Leroy with antifreeze.
yes.
And at that time, did you have any belief as to how the antifreeze was slipped to Leroy?
Well, no.
Excuse me, did I have,
You had some belief at that time that Judy had poisoned Leroy with antifreeze, right?
yes,
And that he didn't know this, it just, she did it to him, right?
I thought she did, maybe.
Okay.
I wasn't sure.
Okay. And now, did you have in your mind, as you're talking to police and as you have this thought, how that physically happened? Did you think it was milkshakes?
Yeah, that's what I thought, because she even made a comment to me about it.
Okay.
But I really was kind of like, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't there. I don't know.
Right? And that comment was part of a series of LOL jokes, right?
Yeah,
And so now the antifreeze in the milkshake, I'm just asking what you thought at the time. Did you think that she poured antifreeze into a milkshake? Was it a coffee shake or a milkshake?
Judge, objection.
I don't,
Just a moment, just a moment.
well,
Just a moment. I'm going to have to see counsel at sidebar. As much as I am reluctant to, I have to see counsel at sidebar.
Come on, call Megan Barry Waterhouse, please. Is it okay if I move this a little bit when she comes in?
Yes.
Thank you.
Do me a favor, sit on this blue line.
Raise your right hand for me, please. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the cause now hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you, may be seated.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes, you may.
Good afternoon. Could you introduce yourself to the members of the jury, telling them your name and then also spelling it for the record?
My name's Megan Waterhouse, MEGANWATRHOUSE.
Prior to being Megan Waterhouse, what was your maiden name?
Berry.
What is your occupation, Ms. Berry?
I'm a registered nurse.
I should say Ms. Waterhouse, I apologize. Where are you a registered nurse?
Anna Jake's Hospital.
How long have you worked for Anna Jake's Hospital as a registered nurse?
About 10 years.
Before going into your duties and responsibilities there, could you please describe to the jury your educational background to become a registered nurse?
I got my bachelor's degree at University of Massachusetts Lowell.
And when was that?
I graduated in 2011.
What is your current assignment at Anna Jake's as a registered nurse?
I work 3 12-hour shifts, 7A to 7P.
Is there a specific part of the hospital that you're assigned?
The emergency department.
And have you been there the entire time?
About 6 years.
What are your duties and responsibilities as a registered nurse within the emergency department at Anna Jake's?
I triage, I assess, and I monitor patients.
Very quickly, what does it mean to triage?
When they come in, we do vital signs, we do an assessment, we get a story from the patient or loved ones or EMS. We do blood work, we do tests, imaging.
It
someone comes in via ambulance, is there a specific procedure that's followed that's possibly different than if someone were to walk into the emergency room?
Typically, we get a call ahead from EMS. Based on that story, we pick an appropriate room in the hospital or in the emergency department. And then once they arrive, we meet EMS in that room and we get report from them.
I'd like to specifically turn your attention to November 11th of 2022. Were you working as an emergency room nurse at Anna Jake Hospital on that day?
Yes.
Were you working that 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. shift that you just described?
Yes.
At some point, did you get a call from, or did you become aware that a patient was being brought to Anna Jake's Hospital by the name of Leroy Fowler?
Yes.
Your Honor, with this court's permission, if the medical records from Anna Jake could be marked as the next exhibit subject to any redactions that are necessary?
They may.
Thank you.
Jurors, you've heard a couple of references to exhibits being admitted subject to redactions. Redactions means we black out some information, excise it in some fashion. Ultimately, if there are these redactions on any number of exhibits that are before you, don't try to speculate about what material has been excised from these records. The reason things are redacted is because they have no relevance for your purposes. And so I make judgments of things that ought to be redacted. Sometimes things are redacted just by agreement because all the attorneys agree that something's not relevant. So if you see something blacked out, just ignore it.
Is it fair? Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Is it fair to say that Mr. Fowler was brought into Anna Jake's just before 9 a.m. that morning?
Yes.
And what was your responsibility as it related to Mr. Fowler when he was brought into Anna Jake's?
We brought him into a room. We get the story from EMS. We get vital signs. We get blood work, and we begin our triage process.
And when you say vital signs, can you describe to the jurors specifically what you did?
Temperature, blood pressure, heart rate, oxygen.
And at some point, did you have an occasion to put an IV in?
Yes.
And why was that?
Typically, when anyone comes in an altered state, we put an IV in and we get what we call a rainbow blood work, which is 4 tubes of blood work, where we can order a variety of lab tests off of those.
And when you say an altered state, what do you mean?
Confused.
And was Mr. Fowler, did he come in, was he altered or confused?
Yeah, he was unable to follow any direction.
And were you able to have any type of communication with him as to his, what brought him there?
No.
And for those reasons, did you do what you just described in terms of the IV and the rainbow blood draw?
Yes.
And was that done almost immediately upon your interaction with him because of the uncertainty of his condition?
Yeah, everything happens pretty much at once.
Could you kind of take us through exactly what you do for a patient and specifically what you did for Mr. Fowler as it related to that rainbow blood draw?
Basic blood work. When we don't know what's causing this altered, we'll do blood work, drug screens, imaging, all that kind of stuff.
Why is it called rainbow blood work?
It's just 4 colors and
like 4 different colored tubes?
Yes.
Okay, and let's talk about those tubes real quick. Is there some way to identify the blood that you take from a patient, specifically Mr. Fowler, as it relates to each of those 4 different colored tubes?
Yeah, immediately after we take the blood, we label it with a sticker, and we make sure it has 2 patient identifiers that match: name, date of birth, medical record number.
So fair to say that any blood that was drawn from Mr. Fowler would have been confirmed that the blood that you were subsequently going to submit for testing belonged to Mr. Fowler?
Yes.
And in this case, where did the blood go once you drew it?
To the lab.
And was that done at approximately 9 or 4 a.m.?
Yes.
And were you the first person that took blood from Mr. Fowler upon his entrance into Energy Hospital?
Yes.
When it goes to the lab, are you aware of whether or not that blood is retained after the testing is done?
They do keep it for a while. I'm not sure how long.
You would describe Mr. Fowler's condition as being altered when he came in. Could you describe to the jury what other observations you made of Mr. Fowler while he was under your care during that time?
He couldn't follow direction. He was trying to climb out of the bed. He couldn't tell us any information about what was going on with him. He was really hard to calm down.
Were you able to speak to him in any coherent way?
No.
When you say he was not able to follow directions, were there things that you were specifically asking him unable to do?
One specific thing was to give a urine sample, and he wasn't even able to follow that direction.
As a result of him being unable to follow your instructions as it related to the urine sample, what, if anything, did you have to do?
Put a catheter to get the urine.
And was that done as it related to Mr. Fowler's treatment around 9 a.m. on November 11th?
Yes.
Did you make observations while you were caring for Mr. Fowler as to whether or not there was anyone there with him, or at some point there with him?
There was a woman with him.
Do you remember how she identified herself in relation to Mr. Fowler?
I don't remember exactly.
How long would you say that you, I guess, were in charge as the nurse for Mr. Fowler during that morning?
It's about 11 a.m.
And is it fair to say at some point after 11 a.m. his care was turned over to another nurse?
Yes.
Regarding the blood draw and any testing or imaging, are you responsible for interpreting the results?
No.
Who would be responsible for interpreting the results?
The provider assigned to him.
So fair to say that you didn't have an occasion to review those results or make any determinations in terms of care that he may or may not have needed?
No.
Essentially, you interacted with him, you triaged him, you got the blood work to the lab as quickly as possible, and then at some point around 11 a.m., his care was turned over to another nurse?
Yes.
If I may have one moment?
Yes, you may.
During that course of those 2 hours that you were responsible for Mr. Fowler, did his condition change in any way, or did it remain the same throughout your interaction with him?
He never was oriented to himself. He never could follow any direction. Nothing changed. He seemed to be getting more confused.
And at no point were you able to have any conversation with him as to what had caused his condition that brought him there?
No.
You're not even further questions?
Mr. Norquist?
Good afternoon. Would it be fair to say that these were events back again in 2022, and now we're into 2026, and your memory would have been better in any report you gave in and about that date back in 2022 than they would be today of those events?
Yes.
And you did at some point in time go in and speak to police officers, right?
Correct.
And you did that. Did you have an opportunity to look at that, a transcript of that statement prior to coming in here
I
today?
did.
And did you feel that that was truthful and accurate?
Yes.
And you attempted to be truthful and accurate to the officers. You had no reason not to be on that date, right?
Correct.
And you indicated that when he came in, you did a series of tests with him, putting the blood work, the IV. You had used I think you used a particular term for the blood work itself. And you didn't have to sedate him to do any of that, right?
Not that I remember.
And you did not indicate either in your prior statement or here today that you had to, on occasion, there are restraints on some of the beds, right?
Not on the beds, no.
Well, if you wanted to restrain a person, you could?
Yes.
Okay, and that wasn't done with him, right?
No.
And back in February of 2022, you had described him as alert, but definitely confused and restless, right?
I'm assuming, Mr. Norquist.
You said February, but I think you meant November.
Oh, I think you meant 2023.
February.
What was the date you said?
I'm sorry, the confusion of dates of the on the statement you gave of February 6, 2023, about November 11th of 2022, when Mr. Fowler came in, you had described him as, and he was alert, but definitely confused and restless.
Yes.
And alert would mean and I know you had said he was, and you also indicated he was talking, correct?
Nothing that made any sense.
But he was talking.
Yes.
So it was words that were being formed, but you believe that it was a confused message that was coming to you, right?
Yes.
Now, and when he came in initially,
the assessment done by you based upon other people in somewhat similar conditions that come into you, you thought it was a drug overdose, right?
That's the one reason someone could come and alter, yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes, that's one reason someone could come and alter.
And not that you told the police that's what you thought it was, but the hospital, the staff, proving that you alone, right?
Yes.
Now, did you actually do the blood draw?
Yes.
And you said there were 4 different types of tubes connected to it?
Typically, we do a full rainbow.
So you have, whatever the little capsules are, you're going to be drawing 4 of those at
We
one
put in,
time?
yeah, we can place IVs and draw blood work right off the IV.
And do you determine, after you've drawn the blood, what you're going to test for?
As a nurse, I have standing orders based on complaints, which I can draw certain labs, and then the providers can add more labs afterwards.
So if one of the things you wanted to test for was drugs?
That's not per my policy, so the provider would add that on to the lab work.
That would be whoever sends it out. So
No.
when it comes, if you're the nurse that's attending, you don't actually ask for a particular type of test, even though you're attending to the patient.
I could tell the provider that I could ask for it, but they order the test, yes.
Do you know what the slip said when the blood work went into the lab, what it was that was requested?
I don't remember.
The lady that came in, did she identify herself as the girlfriend?
I don't remember how she identified herself.
And if I showed you a copy of your statement from February 6th of 2023, and had you look at that, see if that might refresh your memory as to what you thought that lady was?
Yes.
Could I approach the witness?
Yes, you may.
Okay. I believe she was the girlfriend.
Do you also have any memory that she was attentive to him physically, holding his hands?
Yes.
And did she stay with him for an extended period of time at the hospital?
Yes.
I may have a moment, Judge.
Yes.
Did you also do an alcohol test on him? If you wanted to, in terms of the blood work, would you
believe
do
so.
an alcohol level test through the blood work?
Yes.
Thank you. Judge, I have no further questions.
Ms. Stratton?
Just very briefly, is it fair to say that there are a variety of reasons why someone might come to the emergency room in an altered condition?
Yes.
And is that why you need to triage them and do the blood work to determine what it is that brought them there?
Yes.
And at the time, you have no idea what happened to Mr. Fowler that caused him to be altered, correct?
Correct.
No further questions.
Mr. Norquist, any follow-up to that?
I don't have any conditions.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You may step down.
Leroy Fowler III.
Is this person also referred to as Leroy Fowler Jr.?
He has been by defense counsel on a couple of.
I think we all need to try to be precise when we're referring to this particular witness, and maybe some common nomenclature. How about the third?
I can take care of that.
Okay, thank you.
Do me a favor and stand on this school's line.
Sir, if you face me and raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the cause now in hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. You may be seated.
Good afternoon, sir. In a nice loud voice, could you introduce yourself to the jurors and spell your last name?
How you doing? My name is Leroy Francis Fowler III. My last name is Fowler.
And just before we get into anything else, sir, you introduced yourself as the third. Who was
Yes,
the
sir.
second?
My father.
Okay, so he was generally known to your family as either Leroy Jr. or Big Leroy, is that right?
Yeah, Big Leroy.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
And your grandfather was sort of Leroy Sr.?
Yes.
Was Leroy Sr. ever around in your lifetime? Or
Yes, sir.
he was? Okay. And so now, are you still, you know, are you little Leroy? Are you Leroy Jr.? Or are you Leroy third? What do you go by now with the family usually?
Little Leroy still sticks, so that's what I carry.
Yeah, that's tough. So just for purposes of when we're talking about, we won't obviously be talking about your grandfather today, but for purposes of talking about you and your dad, if there's any confusion about it, you know, probably not with you so much, but just refer to him as, you know, your dad or something. That'll alleviate any confusion with the names, all right?
Yes.
All right, great. So where do you live?
I live in Seabrook.
All right, so Seabrook, New Hampshire.
Yes, sir.
How long have you lived in Seabrook?
Maybe 6 years?
Okay, do you own a house up there?
Yes.
Okay. Are you married?
Yes.
Any kids?
Yes, sir.
How many kids?
3.
What are their names?
Mia, Dexter, and Leo.
Okay. What do you do for work, sir?
I'm a glorified maintenance man.
Okay. And where do you do that?
I do it for New Hampshire and Massachusetts.
Like the state or?
Yeah, both states.
Okay. What other kinds of work have you done over the years?
I learned a lot of construction with my father.
So how was your relationship with your father?
Fairly good.
Better at sometimes, worse at others?
Yeah, just like adults and parents.
Fair enough. Now, did you grow up with your dad? Was he around when you were growing up?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay, so you lived with him as a kid as you were growing up?
On and off.
Okay. And who else lived with you as a kid when you were growing up?
My brother Michael at times.
Okay, and that's Michael Hawkins?
Yes, my stepbrother.
So your stepbrother?
Yep.
And did you live with his mother as well, Julie?
Yes.
Now, I want to draw your attention more to more recent times involving you and your father and a woman named Judy Church. Do you know Judy Church?
Yes.
Okay. Do you see her sitting here in the courtroom?
Yes.
Could you point her out? Describe something to her?
She's right over there with glasses.
Okay. Just ask the record identification, Your Honor.
Good man.
Thank you. Now, how did you meet Judy?
Met her at the bar.
Okay. And was your father involved with her at the time you met her?
No.
No. So you met her before your dad started seeing her?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember how long ago that was?
Before you initially seen her, or how long from today?
Yeah, well, what year it was? Whatever's easiest for you.
Jeez. Maybe 2012?
Okay.
Somewhere around there?
Okay. And how long after you first met her at that time was it that your father started seeing her?
Maybe 2 years?
And was he still, was your dad still together with Julie when he started seeing,
Yes.
with Julie, when he
Julie.
started seeing Judy?
Yes.
And do you remember how long that overlap lasted for?
Maybe a few years, 1 or 2, 2.
So it was kind of a common thing for your dad to have more than one
Yeah.
girlfriend?
Yes.
After he started seeing Judy, and that relationship kept going on, how often would you see your dad and see Judy when they were dating initially?
Fairly often.
Okay. At some point, did you live, in fact, with both your dad and Judy? You lived in the same house?
Yes.
Okay, and where was that you were living with when you were in the same house as Judy?
Was it 108 Central Ave?
Okay, and 108 Central Ave is a house, but it's broken up into a couple of different units, is that fair?
Yes.
Okay, so were you in a different unit from them, or were you in the same unit?
The beginning, yes. I was in a different unit.
Beginning, you were in a different unit?
Yeah, I was upstairs.
Okay, and they were living downstairs?
Yes.
All right. And at some point, did you actually live in the same unit as them?
Yes.
So you were spending, what was the time frame for that?
Maybe a year.
And do you remember about what year it was that you were there? How long ago?
No, not really, unfortunately.
And at the time that you were living either in the same house or in the same apartment as your dad and Judy, was he seeing anybody else romantically?
Sorry, what was it? Can you repeat that?
Yep. At the time that year that you spent living in the same house or the same apartment as Judy and your dad dating anybody else?
Yes.
Who was that?
Barbara?
Barbara Randall?
Yes.
And did you have occasion to talk to Judy about her feelings about Barb?
Yeah.
Okay. And how did she? What did Judy say about Barbara?
Overruled.
What did she?
Yeah. What kind of things did she say about Barbara and the fact that your dad was dating her?
She wasn't happy.
Did she have a nickname for Barbara?
Yes.
What was it?
Judge, could I have a continuing objection to this whole line of questions, please? You may.
Excuse me, the cunt?
Okay. And was that a term that she used regularly?
Yes.
Did she keep anything around the house that sort of a, I'm not sure how to phrase it. Did she keep anything around the house to sort of represent Barbara?
Yes.
What did she keep around the house?
A voodoo doll.
And what did she do with the voodoo doll?
Various things like stick pins in it and, throw it around and stuff.
You do? I do. Okay.
You want to show it to the witness first?
Why don't you show it to the witness and just, why don't you show it to me? You can hand it up to me. Yeah, I'll see counsel very briefly. This won't take long. Yes, you may.
Sir, I was going to hand you a photograph to ask you to recognize this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll let you recognize that.
The voodoo doll.
Subject to our discussion at sidebar, and with all rights preserved, it will be admitted as our next exhibit.
Right, and that's, putting it up there, on the screen, and at the bottom. You can see where it says Barb, is that right?
Yes.
Now, how often, in the last year of your dad's life, or so, 2022, we'll stick with, how often would you see him?
Towards the end of 2022,
Yeah.
he was doing some side jobs for me, so usually once a week.
Okay. So what kind of side job was he doing for you?
Working on a house.
The house that you owned, or a house?
No, sir. It was my stepdaughter father's house.
Okay. And your dad had been in construction for a long time, is that right?
Yes.
And so were you doing the work and you hired your dad? I know it's a little bit less formal than that, but you hired your dad as sort of someone to help you out doing that work?
It wasn't me per se, but if I found like odd jobs for him to do, like I would recommend him. Yeah.
Okay. Now at that time, in the last week of his life, that first, second week of November, had you seen him at all during that time period?
Yes.
Okay. And when was the last time you actually saw him?
Maybe a couple days before.
And was he having any problems? Was he dizzy? Was he falling down? Was he having any problems like that when you saw him on that?
No.
Okay. And do you remember where it was that you saw him?
If I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure it was my house.
Okay. And did he come by as part of the work that he was doing on your father-in-law's house, or?
Yes.
Now, in the day before he died, did you have a phone conversation with him that afternoon, about 1:30 in the afternoon on Thursday, November 10th?
Sounds familiar. Yes.
And did he ask you to do something for him?
Yes.
And what was it that he asked you to do?
He wanted me to drop off money. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Pick up some money that somebody owed him?
Yes.
And do you remember where you were gonna get that money?
From the owner that he did the house with.
In that last couple of months of your dad's life, did he ever express any thoughts about suicide or anything like that? Did he ever mention that to you at all?
No.
Was anything you ever noticed about that in those last couple of months, last couple of weeks? Made you any concerns or anything like that?
No.
So what did you observe over that time you were spending time with your dad and Judy about their relationship? What was going on in their relationship at that point in time?
Normal. I mean, said he was traveling back to Florida.
Okay. And you say normal. What does that mean?
As normal as possible in the situation.
So bouncing back and forth between Judy and Barbara?
Yes.
Did you ever see what Judy would do to try to keep him from going to Barbara's house?
Yes.
What did she used to do to try to keep him from going to Barbara's house?
Rules.
She would buy him things.
What kind of things?
Clothes, shoes, material things.
Did that include a truck?
Yes.
And did that seem to work?
Objection again. It's sustained. I want to bear in mind that the question that was put to this witness is what things did he observe? He observed or just told you about buying things, but we haven't heard any testimony about anything that this church said. So you may accept, if you wish, the testimony that he bought things. It's for you, that he bought things. It's for you to determine why. Because
After she would buy him things, would he stay at the house longer? Would he stay with her longer?
Not always.
well, the answer is no. Was the answer no?
Yes, sir.
That may stand.
To the best of your knowledge, did your dad have COVID ever?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know how many times he had COVID?
Objection. Sustained. Unless you can lay a foundation that it's not based on simply what his father told him.
Did he make complaints about his health in relation to having COVID?
Sustained.
Did he make complaints about his health specifically regarding his sense of taste?
Yes.
And how many times did he make that complaint to you about his sense of taste?
A few times.
Okay, and what was the complaint that he made in that respect?
Objection. I'll allow it.
My father was like sweets, like sweet. He was liked cake and ice creams, and he couldn't taste them.
I don't think he's beyond the scope of the question. Yeah, the question was what was the complaint? And then he said something about sweets.
And that he couldn't taste them.
Was that something he said to you?
Yes, sir.
All right, that may stand.
You all right, sir? I know it's,
Yeah.
It's hard. Need a tissue?
No.
All right. Sir, I want to sort of change tacks a little bit. When did you first hear that your dad was in the hospital in relation to this particular case?
Like when is in the time or
Yes.
the day?
Yeah, the day and time.
It was at nighttime. I want to say on his birthday, later on the night.
Okay, so November 11th, later on at night.
Yes.
Okay. And who was it that you heard from for the first time that your dad was in the hospital?
Judy.
After a conversation with Judy via text, did you make attempts to get some further information from other people?
Yes.
Who did you call?
The hospital.
Okay. Do you remember which hospital it was that you called?
It was Mount Auburn.
Mount Auburn in Cambridge?
Yes.
Okay. And you were able to speak to a doctor there, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And based on what the doctors told you, who else did you call after speaking to the doctors?
My auntie.
Okay. Anybody else?
I called the police.
And did you make arrangements with the hospital at that point in time to make sure that you were the healthcare proxy for your dad?
What's the objection, Mr. Martinez?
Judge, it's a hearsay conversation with the doctor itself.
Well, if he's making a request or simply an arrangement to become hearsay, the healthcare proxy, there's no content of the conversation coming in. It's all overruled, and I'll allow him to answer the question and see where that takes us.
It's a yes or no answer, Judge, right?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Now, the next day, November 12th, did you get a chance to see your dad that day?
No.
When was it that you got a chance to see your dad?
When he was on the ventilator?
And that was the next day, November 13th?
Yes.
And was that still at Mount Auburn, or had he been moved to Beth Israel by that point?
To Beth Israel?
Did he ever wake up, or was he ever able to communicate with you at all that last day at Beth Israel?
No.
He was on the ventilator the entire time?
Yes.
And was it you and some other family members that had to make a decision about keeping him?
Overruled. This is a decision about the ventilator?
Yeah.
You're asking about?
Yeah.
Overruled.
Did you and the other family members have to make a decision about keeping him on the ventilator?
I did, yes.
And what did you decide?
Pull the plug.
You took him off the ventilator, is that right?
Yeah.
And he died shortly thereafter, is that right?
Yes.
I don't have anything for you.
Mr. Narconis, I presume, unless you think you'll finish in 7 minutes, maybe we should just break things down. Okay, so I think it probably makes sense to break that. Mr. Fowler, you may step down if you would. Thank you. Thank you. And we'll meet you back here.
No, sorry.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, not tomorrow. We're not sitting tomorrow.